Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular commission meeting this April 22nd, 2025. If we could have a roll call, please.
Commissioner Markert.
Here.
Vice Mayor Long.
Here.
Commissioner Cassell.
Here.
Deputy Vice Mayor Burns.
Here.
Mayor Carney.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. If we could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. You may be seated. Sorry.
They have the cushion.
What are we doing?
She's eating her cushion.
Agenda approval. If you all have a look at the agenda, is there anything you want to pull? Any
I would
addition-
like
I
to
would like to
pull.
pull something as
okay.
well. I would like to pull the jurisdiction, 5A1.
5A1.
Mayor, that's actually not on consent.
Yeah, that's not a consent. That's going to be a presentation.
That's a
anyway.
presentation
Okay.
from the Office
Yeah,
of the
for-
City Manager and Public Works.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Any others?
I have 6E, which is our agreement with our new auditor,
Yep.
Ms. Georgiev. If she could come up and say something, that would be lovely. And also 6K5, which is our agreement with Embark Safety Police. So is that 7AA, 7BB?
Okay, that's fine. So 6K5 will now be 7BB.
Yep.
6E will be 7AA.
Yes, thank you.
Are there any other items that we need pulled from the agenda, or from consent, or added? Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No, any opposed? No, unanimous. Very good. We have a number of presentations today. The first is going to be a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Delray Beach, Florida, recognizing and commending Alberto Angulo for 30 years of service to the City of Delray Beach. I will read you the resolution. Whereas Al Angulo began his career with the City of Delray Beach on February 6, 1995, and on February 6, 2025, reached a milestone in his career, having achieved 30 years of full-time service with the city. And whereas Al was originally hired as a utility service worker C and was promoted several times in the utility department. He became a code enforcement officer in 2000, where he currently serves with distinction. During his tenure, he has served as lead code enforcement officer and several times as acting supervisor. And whereas there are dozens of commendations in Al's files for providing outstanding customer service throughout his career, many are from the police department for providing assistance with difficult areas of the city. He has received 3 Employee of the Quarter awards, and in 2008 was voted as Employee of the Year for the outstanding assistance he provided to the victims of Hurricane Wilma. Whereas his extensive knowledge and experience make Al the go-to expert on many of the city's code enforcement initiatives. Not only does he possess extensive knowledge, he also is known for sharing this knowledge with his team members, which was especially important during the challenges of COVID when staff members were working to keep the city in compliance. And whereas Al's reliability and knowledge make him an excellent team member in all situations, he demonstrates an outstanding ability to communicate with citizens using professionalism and tact and educate them about potential code violations, which increases voluntary compliance. Al has proven to be a valuable asset throughout his career, displaying the highest level of cooperation and professionalism and holding himself accountable for all his decisions. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Commission of the City of Delray Beach, Florida, as follows. 1, that the City Commission of the City of Delray Beach hereby recognizes and commends Alberto Angulo for 30 years of dedicated and faithful service. 2, that the City Commission hereby congratulates and expresses sincere thanks and appreciation to Alberto Angulo for his many years of service and wishes him the best of health in his continued employment. Passed and adopted this 22nd day of April 2025. I have a motion to approve the resolution.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Al, we have a plaque. There's something here for you. You're going to do the intro, correct?
Yes.
Here we go.
Thank you, sir.
We'll take pictures if you want to after.
Okay, thank you.
also have one more plaque to give him.
Oh, there's a second one.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, Albert,
No
I
worries.
missed it.
So, Lachey, if you would introduce yourself so that
I will.
everybody's aware who you are, please.
Yes, sir. Lachey King, Employee Engagement Administrator with the Human Resources Department. Al, on behalf of the City of Delray Beach, we'd like to give you this plaque as well.
Thank you.
And his supervisor also has a few words for him.
Perfect. I've known Al for 30 years. I've known Al for your whole 30 years here.
Huh?
I think I've known you for the entire 30 years here.
Yes, sir, you have. Good evening, Commission members, staff, and residents. Today, we have the honor and privilege of recognizing someone whose dedication, humor, and hard work have left a lasting impact in our city, and all of us who have had the pleasure of working alongside with Al. I'm talking about, of course, about Angulo, who is celebrating an incredible milestone of 30 years of service with the City of Delray Beach. In 1998, Al transitioned to the Code Enforcement Division, and it's there that many of us really go to know the force or the nature of Al has. Over the years, he has served in multiple key roles, including supervisor, lead code enforcement officer, and officer trainer. In every role, has brought not just experience and expertise, but also mentorship, leadership, and a deep sense of responsibility to the job. But beyond the titles and accomplishments, what really set Al apart is his personality. Al brings vibrant energy, quick wit, and a whole lot of character to the division. Whether he is lightening the mood during the tough day, sharing one of his legendary stories, or offering words of encouragement to a new officer, Al adds a special spark to our division. Al has a blend of warmth, wisdom, and wit that leaves a lasting impression on everyone who has the good fortune of working with him. Al, on behalf of the entire department and the city, we want to thank you for the 3 decades of service, leadership, and laughter. It has been a privilege to work with you. Congratulations on your 30 years of service. Thank you.
Thank you for your continued service, Al. We now have a presentation by Rhonda Geiger of the Palm Beach County Commission on Ethics. I saw her here. Huh? Oh, there you are.
Here I am.
There you are. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Rhonda Geiger, Commission on Ethics. As I say every year, this is not so much a presentation as it is just a hello and a reminder that I'm here. I've dropped off new ethics guides, the pocket guides. It's a new printing, so it's updated. The changes were yes, I handed them out to everybody up here, and I brought another 500 for all of the employees, so everybody should be able to have one of those. And I left my bag right there, so I'll make sure I grab that. Thanks for having me. As always, just a reminder that we're here to answer questions from the public. Obviously, why we have enforcement capabilities at the Commission on Ethics. Our goal is education. Our goal is to provide answers to questions that people may have, advisory opinions. I think everybody here pretty much has called me at one time or another, so we're happy to be of service. That is what we want to do. We definitely want to address anything on the front end as opposed to on the back end. So thank you for using us. Thank you for the telephone calls. I appreciate those. We'd much rather, as I said, do it before it becomes an issue. So we're here. Now it's our 15-year anniversary. We've been around for quite a while now. We have jurisdiction over every city and town within the county, as well as Palm Beach County employees and elected officials. That includes advisory boards, any of those other appointed positions as well. So it's gotten pretty big for us. But we're answering questions and approaching it from that way more and more. And we're so happy to do that. We're so happy to be on the advice side as opposed to the enforcement side now. It's really shifted that direction. I'll throw out again, as I do every year, I'm always available for live trainings. They're so much more interactive. Well, anything is more interactive than the video. I think you guys could all agree. But they're so much more fun. Believe it or not, ethics training can be fun. I promise. So if you do have new employees or you want to schedule some live trainings, please just be sure to get a hold of me. I'm available at any time for that, and happy to come deliver on site. questions anymore?
Thank you very much. Does any members of the commission have questions? Nope, I look forward to, still smell it. It's
I
brand
mean,
new ink.
it's very hot off the presses.
There you go.
Yeah, and no need to worry about declaring those gifts I've left. They have negative value. So,
Thank you very much for your gifts, your kind words, and for all the service you do to Palm Beach County.
yes, thank you. And I did leave some business cards on the podium here if anybody has any questions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have a presentation by Kelly Smallridge from the Business Development Board of Palm Beach County. There you are.
Do you have a clicker for me?
There's one on the table. There's two on the table.
You can also do this. Okay, yeah. Okay. And the bottom is backwards. Are you clicking or off? No. Okay, could you go back to the beginning? That isn't the first slide. There's at the first slide. So the first slide, that isn't the first slide. Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
There we
Thank you.
go.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the Commission. For the record, my name is Kelly Smallridge. I am President and CEO of the Business Development Board of Palm Beach County. I want to thank you for the opportunity to be here this evening to have the conversation about economic development in Delray Beach, and really just to have a question Q&A at the end to answer any concerns that you have. I also want to thank you for Rob Evans. He is one of the greatest economic development contacts that we have. We enjoy working with him. I've met a lot of economic development people in my decades of doing this, and he certainly is engaged and a participant in our quarterly roundtable discussions, and I think the city and its businesses here are better off for him. So a little bit about the Business Development Board. I'm going to whiz through these slides. This organization is here to recruit, retain, and expand companies to Palm Beach County. And every day we stand on the front line with CEOs that are either growing in our backyard or that are coming in and sizing us up against other states. They ask us what sites are available. Today, 50,000 square foot user came in. We want to be near the Port of Palm Beach. 100,000 square foot user came in. We need to be in North County because their mother lived in North County. Tell us about public and private schools. What direct flights do you have to the international and national markets that we serve? Tell us about FPL. And also, what are your executive relocation services? We are partners with so many in Palm Beach County. All of the cities, our chambers of commerce, Career Source, our universities, our colleges. There are two distinctions that this organization has that no other organization has in Palm Beach County. Number one, we serve all 39 cities as designated by the state's Economic Development Florida Commerce Organization. And number two, we are designated by the Board of County Commissioners as the official economic development organization for all 2,000 square miles. Economic development is a team sport, and as I mentioned, Rob is a big part of this team. Public and private schools, also education is the currency of economic development, so schools are part of this collaborative ecosystem. Career Source, our transportation system, safety, police and fire, workforce housing is a part of it, and the brand that you all promote as a city is a part of this collaborative economic development system. Your greatest economic development tool and program is business retention. Everything that Rob is doing with Palm Beach State College, Career Source, other partners in this county through career fairs is retaining your employees, also a part of our economic development program, a big part. We visit 200 companies a year. But his ability to maximize existing investments, talk to employers, number one issue is where do I find a workforce? The mere idea that he is out there knocking on doors is a plus that this city has that most other cities do not have. So sometimes elected officials want to know, well, why did this company go to this city and why didn't it come to my city? Let me just paint a narrative of what is available in this county. And remember that you as elected officials are the design and engineering team. The business development board is the sales and marketing team. If you design and engineer a piece of land for Class A office space, the business development board will market that space. We do not care where a company goes in Palm Beach County as long as they come to some place within the 2,000 square miles. So just take a look at Class A office space in Palm Beach County. Boca Raton has 7 million square feet. Class A office space in Delray Beach is 137,000 square feet. Take a look at new office buildings. There is 1 million square feet of Class A office space going up in downtown West Palm. I am not saying that you need to go in this direction at all, but when you look at where office users are going, it's because office space is being built. West Palm Beach has One West Palm. 2 buildings just broke ground in City Place, 10 and 15 Fern Street, and then on Lakeview and Okeechobee, Charles Cohen broke ground on West Palm Point. Together, that equals the 1 million square feet. Take a look at what Boca Raton recently did. They came to us and said, we want new economic development as well. We want to be attractive to new and expanding companies, and therefore we're going to knock down City Hall, partner with Terra and Frisbee, and you will have 250,000 square feet of Class A office space to market. So we will throw that in our mix. When you switch out of office and you take a look at light industrial space, this would be where your Pratt Whitney would go, your Amazon or manufacturing, distribution, and logistic companies. West Palm Beach has 14 million square feet of light industrial space. You can see Riviera Beach has 12 million. Look at Boca, Boynton Beach, and Delray Beach falls in 5th place with 3.1 million square feet. And I would say that most of that falls in unincorporated Delray Beach. But no matter where these companies go, north, south, out west, you're still impacted here in Delray Beach because your employees are working in all of these areas. So what happens in West Palm impacts Delray. What happens in Delray impacts Boca Raton. I also was asked to share with you some examples. Yes, incentives do come into play. They are not the deciding factor. They are the icing on the cake. Something that you may want to take a look at is examples like Palm Beach County. They offer ad valorem tax exemption, which exempts the county portion of your property tax up to 10 years. They offer a cash grant up to $5,000 per new job created, and they offer expedited permitting. In Boca Raton and Jupiter, they also offer a cash grant and expedited permitting. In West Palm Beach, they offer 3 things: ad valorem tax exemption, a cash grant, and expedited permitting. Many of these cities have invested in online tools that allows you to see exactly where your permit is. And believe it or not, expedited permitting is one of the greatest incentives you could ever offer. And many cities that do it well take a BDB sanction authorized project, one that we're working, takes the permit from the bottom of the pile to the top of the pile, provided that it is within a targeted industry, paying the average salary of this county, which is $74,000, and is providing good capital investment to your city. Again, they take it from the bottom of the pile to the top of the pile. And Palm Beach Gardens took it a step further. Not only do they have all of those incentives, but they have a 60-acre piece of land in Avenir earmarked for economic development. To summarize, what does a city need to do? So if you wanted to attract more capital investment, shovel-ready, ready-to-go sites is absolutely at the top of the list. Proximity to industry clusters, you have a good base here already, especially your proximity to Boca and West Palm Beach. So don't think that you don't have that proximity. You do. Being very firm and resolute about your ability to expedite any economic development project. Your partnerships are already strong through Rob's department. Your marketing and branding, if I were to go to your website, does it really shout that Delray Beach is open for business. Your skilled workforce, your transportation incentive, or your transportation systems are very strong. And then I would say, if you really want to attract a larger user, take a look at incentives as well. With that, I'll stop and answer any questions that you have regarding new companies coming in or what you might be looking at in terms of ways to improve economic development for Palm Beach County.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Marker.
Are there any specific industries that are seeking out South Florida right now?
Yes, there are. I'm going. If you just don't mind, I'll go through a couple more slides. Corporate headquarters,
Yep.
Very big. There are 30 companies seeking out Palm Beach County right now. You can see some of the ones that we've already landed. There's a 180,000 square foot user in the pipeline right now. There's 100,000 square foot, and there are many that are in the 10,000 square foot range. There are life science companies. There are healthcare companies, aviation, aerospace. We're breaking ground tomorrow in West Delray at Atlantic and 441 on Horbiger Corporation, which will build 200,000 square feet.
Wow.
So if you don't think that that's good economic development for this city, it is, because that gives your residents a place to go work. Technology is very big. We're now launching into quantum computing. So there are 2 quant companies looking. Distribution logistics, also really big. Our Wall Street South, you have a lot of financial companies. You have square miles of oceanfront, of which many of the residents along your ocean fit in Wall Street South. Don't think that Wall Street South is just West Palm Beach. Wall Street South is Delray Beach as well. So that answers the question about who's looking. It's those 5 industries, and you are a big part of that.
Yeah, I was disappointed to see, Office Depot's situation, having been a senior executive there a while back, with them closing
agree.
that headquarters and making that housing. That seemed a shame to me.
I agree. They went right next door, but I wouldn't say that you lost the jobs,
Yeah,
right? It's just over the border.
yeah.
Didn't mean that everyone picked up and left Delray and went to Boca Raton to move.
No, fair enough. Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Long.
Really great presentation. Thanks so much for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Kelly. I guess my question is, do you see Delray's downtown as a benefit in terms of our restaurants and things like that for having young professionals move to our city and help hopefully attract some of these? I mean, I know we lack in Class A office space, but we do have a lot more coming online soon with the Sunday Village project, and there could be other opportunities down the road as we develop West Atlantic Avenue. Do you think our downtown is an asset for our city?
You have 39 cities, as you know, in Palm Beach County. Delray Beach is the #1 downtown. That is my personal and professional opinion.
All right. Love
And it is usually
Good answer.
my closing, and I come all the way from Wellington on the weekends. It is usually the #1 spot that I will go to entertain a client. And that's why I say don't underestimate the role that you play in economic development in this county. You may not have 250,000 square feet single-story office buildings, but you play a critical role in the overall success of where this county has grown. Remember, the greatest migration of wealth took place in 2022. $39 billion left the Northeast and came to the state of Florida. This county alone attracted a quarter of all of that, and I would say a lot of it, $10 billion, a lot of it ended up in Delray, along your waterfront.
Yep. Absolutely. Thank you for that context. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Commissioner Casal.
No, I would say thank you as well. And it's exciting, but for us, it's a little frustrating because we're pretty much at build out. So we can't accommodate the larger companies, but we do have properties in the city that are 3,000, 3 acres, 2 acres, things like that. And so if there are people looking for that size property, I think Mr. Evans can help you.
Absolutely, and I'm glad you brought that up. So that will automatically populate into our property report if it's listed on CoStar and LoopNet, which 99% of all properties, that is our database that we use. Sometimes private owners will come to us separately and we'll slide that in as well. I also have some municipalities that have come to us and said, we're going to reimagine our municipality and we're going to create some infill sites. Right. And if you have developers, investors that are looking to go vertical and have the the stamina to stay in it for the long term and assemble properties will allow more density and intensity.
Right. Interesting. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
You're
This was
welcome.
informational.
Commissioner Burns.
Yes, no questions, but I just wanted to say that I appreciate, I've had a conversation with Mr. Evans, and I know that he met with you last month on talking about some viable options for relocation of some of the companies, and I look forward to working with him because that is also an interest of mine, is to increase the businesses in our community. And maybe looking forward to working with you as well.
Yes, ma'am, and thank you very much. Again, thank you for Rob. Not every city has a Rob, but he is a great partner to this organization and is always promoting the city and making sure we know the assets that you have.
Thank you.
I just have one
Thank
quick
you.
question.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned education.
Yes.
Just, I think I've been going over for a long time, and the quality of the local education. Just how important is it in attracting, being the magnet for these young families and the small businesses, smaller business, larger business, to come to your community?
Absolutely critical. Number one, would you move to a neighborhood where your children could not access good schools? Probably not, right?
Probably not.
It is number one. When we realized that education oftentimes was the number one issue, we created a public and private school task force and an academic leaders council, because we realized that industry was showing up at their door and they didn't understand the importance that they play to economic development. If I could give more advice for how you can really play a role in economic development, I would say if you can make all of your public schools A-rated, like what you find in Wellington, Boca, and Gardens, that is a critical piece. And I haven't looked at your ratings.
No, I know. I'm just asking the question.
Yeah, it is at the top of the list.
Great.
Absolutely.
That's what I
Yes.
suspected the
Yes,
answer was.
it is
but
at the top
I
of the
wanted to hear it
list.
from the
Well, when
president and
families
CEO.
are looking as to where they're going to put their money and live, they're not moving to areas where there are, especially if they're coming from the Northeast, less than stellar schools.
Right.
Right?
Thank you very much for your
Thank you so much.
presentation, and we look forward to working with you in the
Likewise. Thank you for all that you do to make this a great city. I appreciate your vision.
future. Thank you.
All right, bud.
We now have a climate action plan presentation.
Good evening, Mayor and Commission. I'm Ken Edwards, the Sustainability Officer for the City of Delray Beach. I'm here with Chris Chittister, and I'm really glad to be here this evening to present on the draft Climate Action Plan. I'm going to go through a lot of this very quickly. Some of it you have seen before, so I'm going to try to focus on the new information. And a Climate Action Plan is addressed in the comprehensive plan for the city in multiple places, goals, policies, and objectives. So it is consistent in developing a climate action plan. We've been working for more than 2 years, and I appreciate your patience and your input and your attention to this. We have support from the Green Board. We have gathered data with greenhouse gas inventory and others. We've made presentations during Earth Month and many other events, and even had a resolution that was adopted by the Commission in support of the Regional Climate Action Plan. Last year, you may recall that we did a survey, and really overwhelmingly, more than 80% supported development of a climate action plan. And in the climate action plan, rather than have specific sections or specific strategies throughout, fairness and outreach are principles to keep in mind. As climate changes, there are going to be people that are affected more. And an example I like to use is people that work outdoors. The temperature is going up. To work a longer day under hotter temperatures for a longer time of year, and then at night the temperatures don't go down. There are people that are going to be affected. Out on the barrier island also, Category 5 storms happen every year. So there are a lot of things that we need to address in different ways and look at all the communities that are going to be affected. So the meat of the Climate Action Plan is the subject of the next slide. Some of this information you'll recognize. The underlined text are from the survey. These are the top responses in the survey. We're calling them challenges in the climate action plan. And so what we've done since November, when I was last before you, was to develop strategies. We got work groups together with city staff and close city partners and brainstorm. What can we do to address this challenge that the community has said this is important to put into a climate action plan? So for energy efficiency of city facilities, energy savings performance contracting that you're familiar with was one of the top strategies there. Look at all of the ways that we can be more efficient, have an expert help us with that, and pay for these improvements with the savings in electrical cost. Also looking at data in the city and in the community also. We're reaching out to FPL to make the information on energy usage more available so that people can see, where can I be more efficient? Am I wasting energy? In renewable energy, again, ESPC can have renewable energy as a part of that package, so they can show us where it can be installed at best benefit. And certainly have solar and other improvements as a part of capital improvement. Also in this whole process, we have been asking for comments. And so not specific survey results, but comments that we received from the community were use our development process to encourage more efficiency, to be more dense so that transportation is more efficient also. Also addressing gas-powered lawn equipment. I know everyone has heard about that. There's some real opportunities there, but kind of a difficult issue, but something definitely to address. Under the green infrastructure and natural environment section, the top response was dune restoration, so top challenge. We have a dune management plan that's been developed, so following through, continuing to enhance that, working with our research partners. I mean, dune research in South Florida is something that will really get a lot of people's attention. The great economic tourism that we have here can be enhanced even more by having research, more familiarity, more protection of that great resource that's there. Tree planting program, you've heard a lot about. Continuing with tree drop-off and other areas, we'll continue to enhance that. Protection of our existing trees, ordinance is a big item there, but also having a city arborist that would work across the different departments, multiple departments that do maintenance. Look at our planting, look at our ordinance, and coordinate all of that could be a real benefit. In our parks, we have habitat restoration projects going on, having plans for each of those that really set the path forward and track it could be an additional step. Having herbicide application licenses so that it's not just pulling and cutting, but actually using a tool that can really address those invasive plants would be helpful. And then in coral restoration, we've talked about the coral nursery is a big project there. It is a long-term kind of project, but again, getting the community to understand why we're taking these steps, that could be a valuable tool. In the water section, the top challenge was enhanced stormwater system to manage extreme rainfall events. It just really did my heart good to see the community recognizing we are seeing heavier rainfall events. And a strategy there, another very low-tech, very cost-effective, using swales, and use it as a outreach opportunity to go into the communities and say, this is something where you don't have to put in pipes and you don't have to buy expensive equipment, but you grade those areas and you give more of an opportunity for water to infiltrate, get the community on board and really see an improvement in stormwater management. Another challenge, water use efficiency, and so I'll pick out the reducing maintenance flushing. This is an example of how we can problem solve, do outreach to the community, and be more resilient and sustainable. So if you've seen flushing at fire hydrants in the city, that's done to improve water quality in the distribution lines for potable water. If we look at those systems and see how we might be able to loop them together, isn't always going to work, may not work in very many places, but can improve the water quality, reduce the amount that we are flushing, so we're saving electricity through that while we're at the same time improving the water quality in our lines. Hardening of water-related infrastructure, this really would be looking across the board at all of our equipment, looking at challenges such as flooding, storms, even trees being blown over, making sure that we have equipment elevated and maintained such that we can make it through a storm, have water deliveries, have our wastewater picked up and our stormwater moving. Under waste, waste reduction was the top challenge there, and a strategy that I really, really like, has a lot of benefits to it, a lot of ways it can be implemented with awareness of environmentally preferred products. And I'll pull out the single-use plastics there. Research is showing that plastics getting out in the environment, breaking down, being taken up through the food chain, it's even getting into human beings. And then that plastic can lead to cancer. This is a way where we can get people to understand how it comes home to them and engage on how do we reduce our waste, save the money, because if you're throwing out any waste from packaging or anything else, then it's just going right in the trash. Recycling is good, but even better to reduce. Looking at our straw ordinance, that was well intended, but there's a much bigger issue there, so means by which we could revise that, and certainly working with our partners for large events too, to send the right message to the community. Expanding recycling, especially in multifamily, that's a way, if there are residential areas that don't recycle very much, we can hit a lot of people with one outreach kind of event. And again, a comment from the community, a lot of people have mentioned composting. The city is really limited in what we can do directly, but we can do educational programs and maybe help community individuals and areas that would like to do it on their own. Transportation, so the biggest, most difficult issue, but also the biggest source of greenhouse gases. Top challenge, multimodal transportation, different ways of being able to get around. And again, an example of looking at our challenges and what we really have as a benefit now. So Atlantic Avenue is a great part of the city, right? How do you stay on top? Well, you improve the transportation to get into there. And you look at other kinds of resources like Freebie and the Tri-Rail station. If we want to reduce vehicles coming into the area and not have to build more parking garages, Tri-Rail is a way to get people in. So being creative, looking at those resources are some of the strategies. And from a regional public transportation standpoint, the county right now is going through an RFP process to develop a countywide transportation master plan. We need to be at the table every time asking for our share. West Palm Beach always gets a lot of their transportation part of the pie. Delray Beach needs to get that too, and it will help with a lot of the challenges going forward and continue for Delray to be on top. And lastly, sorry for going over, increasing fuel efficiency. We need a plan. There isn't a vehicle to fit every kind of need that we have. We don't want to have any failures. Need to have vehicle uses that have a EV or a hybrid that would fit. We also need to have those vehicles at night in a place where they can be charged. So we need to look at the electrical infrastructure that we have. Where can we put in drops and chargers? So first off is a plan to do that, and also use of low-speed vehicle. The sustainability, LSV, we love it, works even in the summertime. So lastly, climate resilience, all of these you've seen beforehand, so they offer us an opportunity to be able to highlight to people these are good things to do for various reasons, but they also address the challenges that we're going to see from climate change. And with that, I appreciate your time and hope that we can have direction to move forward. We do have a written plan that we could bring forward for your approval, where we would then form work groups to pick out strategies and start implementing.
Right. Thank you very much. Commissioner Burns.
Oh, I just want to say thank you. I met with Ken on yesterday, and one of the things that he said was that he was happy that the community gets it. And I just want to commend him for his willingness to work with the community and reaching out to the community and getting their input. So thank you very much. And education is the key. I appreciated the tour that I went of the Reef Institute. So I became a little more educated and understand. So education is the key, and more will get it. So thank you.
Commissioner Casal.
Yes, thank you. It's amazing. And every time you present this, we get more excited. And so what's the time frame now that you've presented? We told you to go back and start working on this. You're getting feedback from the various departments, and even Missy was talking about electrical vehicles, replacing some of the vehicles, golf carts we were talking about. Was that it, Missy? Yes, which is exciting because there are some instances where you don't actually need a vehicle and a golf cart would suffice. Definitely, I think I'm super on board with this. And when you talked about the plastics, I just read something recently that identified plastics as a potential contributor to dementia, which is so frightening. So I just would like to know what's our time frame and how are we proceeding?
Well, we are ready to go. The document is written. I have another briefing to do, but as soon as it comes forward, and in the next meeting or the second meeting on consent with your approval, and we would have staff working with the community. There's a lot that can be done. So picking out and moving forward and having success quickly, but it really is ready to go.
Oh, fabulous. I'm ready for it then. Thank you so much.
Commissioner Long.
Really great work, extremely comprehensive. Thank you, guys. You have my full support to move forward as expeditiously as we can on this, as always.
Great.
Thank you.
I'd hate to be in your seat because everything that's on your list is an A priority. I mean, everything that's there is like mission critical for our city and for South Florida. So I'm so thankful that you're so on top of this. The one comment you and I have talked about it, I'm glad to hear that you're still auguring to hire an arborist, because I think with all the emphasis we have on the trees and plantings all over the city and in Parks and Recreation, I think having somebody with that specialized skill set could really augment what you're doing. So you've got my full support on everything you presented today.
I have a question. What is demand-based parking fees?
That may not be a popular item to start out with.
No,
okay?
you got my ear. I like that.
But we put
I'm a user fee guy.
everything that was brought up, and that would be a shifting pay structure. When there is more demand, then the price would go up.
Okay.
In New York, tried that, and it was a real debacle. But the principle there is encourage people to use other modes of transportation because it costs more to park.
I agree. I'm looking forward to seeing the whole plan. I just want to make sure that within the plan we're not building in by accepting it expenses that we're not going to see, because I want those expenses, if they're going to be some, to come back for the commission to decide whether it should be done or not. That's my only issue with it. So
And that is written in the introduction and the conclusion. It would be up to the work groups that pick a strategy to work on. And, I would encourage those that are cost effective, don't have a cost, actually have a cost benefit. And those that do have a cost would have to go through the budget process or would come back before.
that's what I was referring to. Great. Thank you both. Thank you, Kent, for a great presentation.
Great. Thank you.
I'm going to slip in one quick item here, and I apologize to my fellow members. I meant to do it when we were doing the agenda, but we have a proclamation in recognition of Let's Move Delray that I've asked, which is a project of Angela's, Commissioner Burns, and I've asked her to please read the proclamation because we have one already prepared, ready to go and signed.
Okay, thank you. So the proclamation reads, whereas the Let's Move Commit to Changing Physical Activity Challenge is a county-wide initiative that focuses on physical activity and healthy behaviors. And whereas Digital Vibes Incorporated and Palm Beach Health Foundation present the annual challenge, which takes place from March 1st through March 31st, 2025. And whereas, inspired by Michelle Obama's Let's Move initiative, Digital Vibes proudly carries forward the legacy of promoting active and healthy lifestyles in Palm Beach County. And whereas Digital Vibes and Palm Beach Health Foundation invite residents to form teams, commit to exercising at least 30 minutes a day throughout the month of March, and log their minutes on the Let's Move website. Palm Beach County logged over 100,000 minutes in the first year of the challenge, and the numbers have increased every year since. In 2023, Palm Beach County logged over 103 million minutes. Let's keep this momentum going. Now therefore, I, Thomas F. Carney Jr., Mayor of the City of Delray Beach, Florida, on behalf of the City Commission, do hereby proclaim the month of March 2025 as Let's Move Delray, and urge all citizens to join in moving to improve their fitness, mental health, and overall health. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Delray Beach, Florida, to be affixed this 22nd day of April 2025.
We have the proclamation here.
Yes, and in addition, I want to congratulate Andrea Bruton of Sky High Fitness and the City of Delray Parks and Rec for teaming together to take this initiative and make it happen. We came in second place again. we did earn. Thank you. In the number of minutes. However, we came in first place in the video. Yours truly was there.
We all saw the video.
We did come in first place with the video, and we did. We will be bringing home $1,000. Oh,
Mr.
Sam
Mitot,
has it.
yes,
Thank you.
Just recognize Mr. Why don't
We
you-
have
you want
this.
a picture with
This one is the video trophy. That's for our first place in the county. And then the plaques were from our second place in the county, and I think Parks and Rec also got a second place trophy. So congratulations, Ms. Bruton. Thank you so much.
Oh, here's the actual proclamation.
Yep. Yes.
Got it? Congratulations. Sure, we'll do a picture if you want. Ms. Carter?
Well, you know what, since I won it.
Yeah, and Angela, please.
You know,
Oh, yeah, come on
It's
up.
your project.
I was talked into dancing, and since I did that, I'm gonna hold this trophy.
If I were in better shape, I would hold it, so. Okay, Cynthia's on, joining?
Oh, she has on her lips moved. Perfect.
Good. For the advertising. Perfect.
All right.
It was the dancing team that got the trophy. Come on.
And we want to thank Officer Brett, too, for participating in that dance video.
Thank you all for indulging me on that. I meant to put it on the agenda. We now have comments and inquiries on agenda and non-agenda items from the public. City manager's response to inquiries and highlights.
Yes, sir, ladies and gentlemen. I actually have a couple of additional brief updates following the brief dialogue we'd like to offer relative to transfer of West Atlantic Avenue property to the jurisdiction of the City of Delray Beach for consideration. As we've previously reported, we've been working closely with the Florida Department of Transportation to offer the consideration, and we are here this evening to briefly outline why this makes sense for the City of Delray Beach, why this is meritorious, and hopefully we can ascertain Commission support to proceed with the formal process. With that, Missy Barletto, brief presentation, Department of Public Works.
Actually, I don't have a presentation this evening.
Excuse me, a dialogue.
Yeah, just a discussion on, we've been working very closely with the Florida Department of Transportation on a number of safety improvements and enhancements to the Atlantic Avenue corridor over the past several months. One of the things that has routinely come up is jurisdiction over West Atlantic Avenue between Swinton Avenue and North 12th Avenue. It doesn't go underneath the I-95 overpass. It's just that section. Some of the benefits for the city, if this were to be approved, would be that we won't have to go through FDOT permitting processes to do additional development on that section of the roadway. We already do a great deal of the maintenance there anyway. We'll have better control over the right-of-way along that roadway, which we do not have now, and that will greatly assist with the set redevelopment plan with the CRA's West Atlantic redevelopment plan and with other such plans. What we're asking for this evening is only consensus from the commission for us to move forward to open negotiations with DOT about the transfer of this property. We have no numbers that have been provided to us yet. We have no contracts, there's no documents to look at yet. This is just permission for the mayor to sign a letter asking FDOT to formally begin that process. So,
Well, I'm happy to, I mean, I was initiated a lot of these meetings. I'm happy we're finally going to get this done. It's going to give us control over that segment of Atlantic. You know, we're going to be having a lot of redevelopment along that segment. That we have control over that as opposed to FDOT just makes, you know, really a lot of sense. And it's going to also help us with traffic flow when we get to that point when it's necessary. So I just, can we get, is there any comments or?
Yeah, I'm concerned about the cost. Like, what is the projected cost? I mean, we're talking about a $12 million deficit on our budget. So wouldn't we incur additional costs for taking care of this portion of the highway?
it's a very small portion of roadway. And for the most part, the city already is taking care of those maintenance issues. We already are doing all of the landscape maintenance, taking care of the medians. The Parks and Recreation Department does the irrigation in there. Clean and Safe covers that area. We're already doing a good deal of the maintenance along that area. Any additional financial needs that would come about will happen over the next 9 to 18 months as we negotiate this transfer of jurisdiction from the FDOT to the city. So it's not a fast process, and we don't have any idea yet what those numbers are going to be. FDOT has shopped this all the way to their highest levels in Tallahassee and has been given the green light to move ahead to work with the city to do this. But this is not a done deal. This is just an initiation of the process to find out exactly what that contract and jurisdictional change will look like for us.
Could I?
Yes, please.
I had wanted that question as well when we talked, but I think we all know that we do the sprinklers and the medians and all that, but what happens if there's an infrastructure issue on the road or paving? Are our taxpayers paying for all that? I know we get some funding and it's different ways that things get paid for, but if, say, for example, you needed infrastructure work on that road, who would ultimately be responsible today, and who's responsible if we make this transfer?
It would be a negotiation between us and FDOT, how we would move forward with that. I mean, technically, that part of Atlantic Avenue right now is considered State Road 806.
Right.
So it's not really the welcoming downtown atmosphere that we're looking to create.
There's nothing wrong with engaging in the conversation. This comes
think,
back before us
any
and
comments
make a determination.
You have more information on this, actually.
So I think there's a lot of ideas of things that we all have in terms of not only the set transformation plan and the development of the 600, 700, 800 block in Delray, and there's a lot of different ideas on how to make that corridor more attractive to economic growth and make it more walkable. And I think if we really want to implement those and take that stride forward, we have to own the street. I think this is long overdue. I think this is a critical step if we really want to create the corridor, the gateway into our city that we all want. And so I'm excited about this. I'm excited this is finally moving along. So thanks for all your great work.
Mr. Markert?
Yeah, I think we should proceed with this. We need to do this to gather all the facts so we can make a final decision, as you just pointed out a few minutes ago. And I imagine this will be a very lengthy process, so the sooner we start, the better.
And then we'll know what it costs.
Absolutely. Then
So
we got facts.
do we have consensus to get the letter written and underway?
Yes, sure.
We do have consensus. Thank you all very much.
Thank you,
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
thank you. I really appreciate that for the reasons haven't been stated. A few items for public highlights I'd like to share with everybody. First of all, the Blue Flag Beach designation for the third consecutive year. The city of Delray Beach was successful and once again securing that outcome. A celebration to take place Thursday, May 1st, 10 o'clock a.m. at Delray Beach's waterfront, of course, and I believe everyone has been notified at the dais level to be able to participate and help enjoy that celebration. Secondly, we will be hosting a follow-up community engagement session to take place Thursday, April 24th, 6 o'clock p.m. at the Delray Beach Municipal Golf Course Clubhouse relative to the future of the golf course renovation program. Myself, along with leadership of Parks and Recreation, Public Works, Finance, and Utilities, will be on deck to share with interested members of the community what the associated moving parts might look like, because of course we are anticipating specific recommendations relative to project financing and implementation to be brought before the City Commission. Finally, we received confirmation over the last day or so that the Davis Cup that we discussed a few weeks ago, the City of Delray Beach was successful in securing that bid in collaboration with the Palm Beach County Sports Commission. So that is to take place in the month of
And
September.
you and Julie are going to be our local entries, considering you all play tennis.
Well,
You know,
not quite that good. I'm probably better off in track and field than I am in tennis, speaking for myself. Ms. Casal is the other way around. So in any event,
Hey, I can run.
yes, it's a nice accomplishment, and details will be forthcoming in that regard. I thought this would be a wonderful opportunity to highlight for the community those three specific outcomes and opportunities. With that, Mr. Mayor, I yield at this time, and thank you very much.
thank you very much. We are now opening up the meeting to public comment. This meeting is open to the public for anyone wishing to speak on any topic or agenda item other than a quasi-judicial item or a public hearing item. The public will have an opportunity to speak on quasi-judicial and public hearing items later in the meeting, as those agenda items are called. For public comment, please sign in, state your name and address for the record, and you will each have 3 minutes.
I left it in Vegas.
My favorite. How are you?
Ready?
You're a big time celebrity.
Mr. Schiller.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Briefly, I have something on 9B that I'm being called to another
But
meeting.
we've had a local celebrity move in. We have former Commissioner Adam Frankel is in attendance. Thank you, Adam, for gracing us with your presence.
Always stealing my thunder. It's first reading of a rezoning tonight, Mr. Mayor. I'm waiving the presentation, cross-examination, and rebuttal, and hope to see you guys in a couple of weeks for second reading of the rezoning tonight.
All right.
So I just wanted to put that on the
You
record.
obviously had to go somewhere,
Yes.
so you wanted to go.
I'm
Okay,
sorry.
good. I
Thank you so
understood.
much.
Hi, Yvonne Odom, 3905 Lawson Boulevard. I'm going to speak fast. I got a lot. I watched the meeting before, and I came last week thinking we had a meeting, but I'm going down the line. First of all, those of you who can't make it to the meeting, watching online is a very good thing. Good option. Thank you very much. Perry, I heard it, but I wanted to publicly thank him for what he did when I was a teacher. And I was one of the original teachers that participated in his program, Kids and Cops. Special events, all I'm telling you, be fair. It's all our money. You know what I'm talking about. Education in the city, public versus private. I listened to the presentation, and we need to have a real talk about that because a lot of it is racial, and we need to discuss it. Nobody likes to say it, but it is. As a longtime supporter of our police department, it pains me to understand all these officers that's leaving. I have worked with this police department my entire life I've been here. We have a department that we can be proud of. No, they're not perfect, but our officers go through, everybody want them, and they're getting them. We need to appreciate what we have. Also, double dipping has been misled. It is not double dipping when you go into drop. All it is saying, I'm retired, but you're going to allow me to work. It's my money that I put away. The city is not doing anything but using the expertise of experienced officers. At least you have a timeline when they're going to retire. Sorry, I'm trying to rush. Old School Square, I want to beat a dead horse because the money that's being spent on it, we have to be mindful how public and private partnerships work, and that's something that we should do. Home ownership, this young lady gave this presentation. My question is, where are these people going to stay? We don't do enough of getting homes for people, and I'm not talking about apartments. CDC will help you with that. And finally, I want to thank Parks and Recreation. This is personal. Palm Beach, for the Delray Beach Police Department, for the launching of the Delray Coco tennis shoe. And that's a prime example of investing in our youth, because it doesn't cost, it pays. So I'm wearing it. This is called the Coco Delray, and y'all go buy it. Thank you so much.
I can't see them. I can't see them, Mrs. Odom.
She didn't hear you.
Very stylish, very stylish.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Victoria McIntosh, but you guys can call me Tori. I'm here to share my experience.
Your address, please.
Oh, thank you. Oh, sorry, what'd you say?
Address, please.
Address?
Name and address, yeah.
7501 Deuce Lane, Lake Worth, Florida.
Perfect.
So I currently work at the Hyatt Place, Delray Beach, and I acquired this job through the career fair that happened earlier this year. I was blown away because I wasn't expecting to find a job so fast. My husband and I actually found the career fair flyer 2 days before it was supposed to happen, and I was like, oh my gosh, we have to find someone to watch the baby, and we have to get the resumes, we have to get our outfits and everything together so we can make it, because we were both job seekers at the time. We went to the career fair bright and early, and I was just blown away by how nice everybody was, welcoming, warm. You know, career fairs are my favorite form of job searching because it gets you in front of the employer. You know, with the applications on LinkedIn, you know, there's 100 applicants before you get there. So by the time you hit apply, the chances of you getting seen is very limited. So that's why I'm an advocate for career fairs. Most of the jobs I've gotten in the past were through career fairs, and my friends as well. My husband didn't get a job that day because we were kind of neck and neck for the same position, but happy wife, happy life. So he was like, I think you'd be better suited. And I was like, I think so too. So that's how I got my job, and he got a job somewhere else. So we're both very happy, and I feel like, you know, if you guys can support that, what they're doing here, Mr. Rob Evans, he's doing a great job. And I think this is very important for the city, and I think a lot of people could benefit from having multiple career fairs for multiple industries. So,
thank you very much for your very kind words and you appreciating the program. We're proud of the program, and I'm very proud that you were able to secure employment, and for your husband as well.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, Steve English, 102 Northeast 10th Street, and I actually come with congratulations for the committee too, because of your last meeting and the agenda item in regards to trying to annihilate the Pride Festival, it galvanized more support for it. So I thank you all, because that showed this community and all of the people that have talked about economic development, if we want to tarnish or ruin our reputational capital, be designated as a discriminatory, non-welcoming, non-inclusive spot. So I think we have to yield, as Ms. Odom said, be fair. Everything should have been on the table. The fact that one item out of 21 was put on there had a very clear and hateful message. The motives, and I love the word motive because it usually has an ugly implication, and the way that that was presented was an ugly intent. And the voice of the people will not be harnessed or taken away, just like it had very eerie reminiscence of Old School Square, the way something creeped onto the agenda. Well, as Shelley Petrolia, and I never thought I was going to quote Shelley Petrolia, but when she was ending her tenure here and said, keep your voices loud, well, this queen's keeping his voice loud. I'm staying proud, and I'm so glad to be part of the dialogue that makes Delray great. And I want to give a big shout out to Chuck and everybody who did the Sunrise Beach meeting. I never felt more included in a community. In St. Paul's at Old School Square, we have to harness these resources and leverage them, because everyone else is vying for the magic that is Delray. All of our elected officials better remember your constituents are damn smart, they're damn engaged, and we're not going anywhere. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. English.
My turn.
Yes.
Hello, my name is Cheyenne Murch. My address is 4695 Barwick Avenue, and I am speaking on behalf of Subculture Coffee.
Barwick.
4695 Francis Drive on Barwick, off of Barwick. I speak on behalf of Subculture Coffee. Recently, we have felt the impact of what we believe to be unfair targeting and obstacles that have made it increasingly difficult for us to operate in the spirit we always have upheld. One of inclusion, creativity, and connection. In December, when we received a $2,500 fine for our art bazaar with no warning, and the city also shut down all of our indoor events, including our art bazaar, our poetry open mic, and our trivia, we started a petition to provide a voice for the citizens of Delray who are concerned about the city's code and zoning enforcement. We, the people, voted all of the commissioners and the mayor into these chairs to act on behalf of all of our needs and desires. 500 Delray citizens signed this petition, questioning the city's integrity in their oath to protect us. My coworker will read this petition to you on behalf of the people of Delray, but I need to speak on another important issue. We have been extremely victimized by a severely mentally ill individual named Daniel Rose, who owns a neighboring establishment. He has been stalking us, bullying us, and has developed a disturbing obsession with our coffee shop and our customers.
We really don't permit disparaging.
It's the truth, and some of you guys are entertaining.
I'm not talking about whether it is or isn't true.
Well, I said that part already. So some of you are entertaining his incessant complaints, and we would like to let you know that we have a lot of concerned citizens about his behavior. He stands outside our property harassing us, taking pictures of our customers. He took pictures of a man's daughter, and he wanted us to call the police on him. This is not okay, and you guys are supporting him. You need to be supporting us. We are enriching the community. He is in pursuit of hatred, and this is all the truth. Sorry. And many people feel unsafe around him, and no one feels unsafe in Subculture. So when you make your decisioning, we hope you stop listening to him and stop letting him run rampant with his aggressiveness and his harassment and his bullying. And this is on you guys. You are here to protect us. And he is running rampant. So many people in the community also believe that about him. And as for the parking issue, they have nothing to do with our events. We have more people and more cars on a weekday morning with customers on laptops than we do during our evening events. We have had a code officer come out to several events to monitor capacity, noise levels, and parking, and she confirmed we were abiding by all the standards, and we were approved by zoning for indoor activities. As far as parking, we are a new business. We have rented a lot, and we are trying to be better. We ask for your support and not punishment.
Thank you very much.
For a small local business.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Michaela Davis. Thank you so much for your time and hearing me out today. I live at 2301.
Yeah, we need your. Are you giving me your address? Is that what I was
Yes,
saying?
sir.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I live at 2301 South Congress Avenue in Boynton Beach, so not technically Delray. But I apologize, I'm not dressed a bit nicer, but I just came from work. So I do work in Delray over at Subculture. Cheyenne told me that this was happening, so I wanted to come in and just kind of give my two-piece as well. I think I represent like the new creatives, or especially those in digital that are moving here. I was a creative director and a motion graphics director and an events director in Atlanta, Georgia. I've been working in production since I was 14, and I'm 31 now. I got to work for Campus Movie Fest. I lived in Jacksonville, Florida for a while and worked with Youthquake, which is a large event that's mostly faith-based. But I've seen the effect of events and what they can do for a community. Like a designated time for people to gather together and focus about something, or meet people that they know that also enjoy the same things they do. I moved down here in recovery because I had experienced some hard things for a while. People who weren't very kind in my life. And the therapists were like, we think you should kind of like have a break for a while. And when I moved down to Delray, I didn't know anybody. And I was trying to go out, but I was supposed to stay away from anything that centered around alcohol. And I found Subculture open late at 10 o'clock with events that had nothing to do with alcohol. And the people I met there just wanted to talk about art. And it meant a lot to me. Since then, I've become a mentor, apprentice for Jeff Wyman, who's a sculptor here in Delray, and I've been making pottery with him. And I've been wanting to be part of our art walk or art event once a month and show my pottery there. So for me, just as somebody that lives here, it means a lot to have these events, have it like a designated time that we can say, hey, this is what's happening today. People who I tried my first comedy night the other day, and it was fun. People laughed. And I'd like to have a day where I can go meet other people that will help give me advice on comedy. I'd like to maybe do a D&D night and host that and help people kind of enjoy time. I've met people that own businesses. I was applying to jobs, and the internet's just this dark hole sometimes when you apply to jobs, but seeing someone in person and meeting someone here, it makes such a difference. I think that in the world where you can go online and hire anybody anywhere, it means a lot to have an in-person place to keep the economy here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so thank you.
Mayor Carney, Commissioners, I'm Luca. I live here in Delray, 805 Delmar Way. I come here just as a customer of Subculture Coffee. I'm not here for any economic benefit. My friends invited me to share my personal experience there. But I'm also someone who chose Delray Beach as home. I was born in Brazil. I built my career in finance, working at Goldman Sachs, later running a multifamily office. I never imagined myself living in Florida until I was invited to join a PhD program here at FAU. And even though I studied in Boca, I chose to live in Delray Beach for reasons mentioned here already. It is a vibrant community, vibrant atmosphere, feels alive. The art, the music, the people. It's one of the few places in South Florida that balances culture and community. And Subculture Coffee is one of the places that makes that possible. It's a space for live music. It's for the open mics and the local art. You probably heard of the urbanist Janie Jacobs, and she famously argued that vibrant cities grow from not from top-down planning, but from spontaneous order, these organic interactions between people, between places, and between ideas. So cultural spots like Subculture generate that kind of dynamism, and they spark creativity, they attract foot traffic and drive economic growth in ways that regulations alone cannot design. So I don't have any economic benefit for saying this. This is the kind of place that makes Delray feels different from other parts in South Florida, and it's the kind of small business we should be supporting and not burdening with regulatory obstacles. So if we want to attract young professionals or young artists and future business owners, we have to protect what makes Delray Delray, and that includes subculture. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name's Gary Philweber. I live at 93 Saxony B in Delray, out in Kings Point. I'm a benefits consultant, and I'm here regarding the negotiations with the police and the city. One of the ladies earlier had mentioned that, and I read in the paper that the police are supposedly leaving here because they're seeking higher incomes elsewhere. I have a solution program I want to present and share with you. It's called the Pre-Tax Savings Program. What it does, in fact, the proposal I put together. Now, I heard someone, I thought we had 300 W-2 employees here. I heard someone mention earlier 500. What's more accurate of W-2 employees for the city?
About 900.
900?
I think so, yeah.
Really? Okay. Well, my quote's for 300, so triple what I'm going to say to you. We do a couple things. When this is just payroll tax. It's very simple, right? The paycheck gets rearranged, and based on the 300 employees, the city would save $172,000 a year. Would generate $732,000, so triple that, $500,000. $732,000 income increase in the payroll of all 900 employees. Well, that's 300. Now you're talking, I don't know, $2.5 million. And you'll get benefits that are zero net cost to the city. Also, if I go through the union, this one company I'm working with, I work for 3 different companies. They have a contribution to unions. So if I go through the PBA, we could give them $20 per member. So over a year, there'd be about 160 members. I read in the newspaper. Another $38,000, which would go to the police department. That's for the PBA every year. They get that, and then you guys are looking at, like I said, about $500,000 in payroll tax savings. What you do with that? I heard you guys have a $12 million deficit going on. That would, someone mentioned it, so I'm just repeating. Whatever. Anyway, it's money that could go back into your coffers to do whatever you want with it. And then the increase, triple that, like I said, about $2.5 million in income that you guys can give raises to basically all the employees of Delray, of the city, including the cops, at a zero net cost. So I'd like the opportunity to meet with HR or your financial people, sit down and explain this in further detail, and to help the city.
Thank you very much.
Who should I follow up with?
Why don't you follow up with the city manager's office? Office of the city manager.
Mr. Moore?
Terrence Moore.
Great, thank you. Nice to meet everybody.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
It's her fault. She started. Continue, sorry.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Ashley Ridley. I live here in Delray. I'm at 210 Northwest 2nd Avenue, and I'm here to raise awareness about Alcohol Awareness Month. So good evening, commissioners, city staff, and community members. April is Alcohol Awareness Month. What I forgot to tell you is I'm here from the Drug Abuse Foundation, so that should also be said. So let me mention that as well. I am the Director of Prevention, Outreach, and Community Relations. So this is a part of my job to keep people aware of what's going on. So April is Alcohol Awareness Month, a time to reflect on how alcohol affects our families, our neighbors, and our overall well-being. It's a chance to remind everyone that recovery is always possible. While opioids often dominate the headlines, alcohol misuse quietly causes more harm than any other substance. It's linked to over 178,000 deaths each year in the United States, more than all drug overdoses combined, and is responsible for over 4 million emergency room visits annually. It also increases the risk of multiple forms of cancer. Alcohol use disorder, or AUD, is a chronic brain disease that makes it difficult to stop drinking, even when it's clearly causing harm. Nearly 29 million Americans lived with AUD in 2023, yet the majority never received treatment, often due to stigma, shame, and access barriers. At the Drug Abuse Foundation in Delray Beach, we use a barrier-free recovery model to help people start their healing journey. Our services include 24/7 medically supervised detox, residential treatment, outpatient counseling and therapy, peer mentoring, job readiness, and housing support. We also partner with groups like the Crossroads Club, which offers daily support meetings in a safe, welcoming environment. Here in Palm Beach County, underage drinking remains a concern. The 2022 Florida Youth Substance Abuse Survey found that over 57% of students had used alcohol. That's why resources like 877 Means 21 is an anonymous tip line that's really important. It allows people to report adults who provide alcohol to minors. If you're concerned about someone Don't stay silent. You don't have to be an expert. Just listen, speak with compassion, and connect them to help. DAF offers substance use assessments and support. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Laura Simon with the Downtown Development Authority, and first wanted to congratulate everyone, especially Angie and Prentice Mobley and the city on the Let's Move month. They started putting this together a year out, and we were part of the process, and it was really fun to be part of, and we're going to take number 1 next year. So, and then congrats on the Davis Cup. That's exciting. I think that's in September, so that is a great time for us in the community. And then just wanted to, just based on the presentation that was brought up about West Atlantic Avenue and FDOT and moving forward to bring that as part of Atlantic Avenue as part of a city property, I think that is a huge win for us, and really would push forward to if we can move that all the way to A1A, because from federal to A1A, that's where we've been really working with the city and DOT on safety, because it's a very heavy pedestrian area, and it's constantly, well, it's not our road, there's issues, we can't do everything. So really looking to, if there's a way, if we're going there, if there's a way to look at it to go all the way. I'm bringing that up.
I wanted it all the way A1A to Congress. That's what my initial request was.
Well, we don't. I mean, that's
I
a
know.
very busy pedestrian area. A1A way to Federal Highway, and considering what's going on at the Atlantic Crossing and the heavy pedestrian area, I would just throw it out there. And then also we just started, I know we just got the Blue Flag Award, so congratulations. And I also heard Boca got that as well. But we also are up for the Best Beach Award from USA Today. So the voting's out there. It's a voting process, so I encourage everybody to vote. And really, as I just appreciate Kelly Smallridge coming here today to present on business development, and I was on a call today with the International Downtown Associations looking at what's happening around our country, and we're positioned very well considering what's going on out there, and with my counterparts around the country and their downtowns, with just seeing 50% of their office workers coming back to their downtowns, and we are in a very different position. So congratulations to Delray Beach and what we're doing as a community. I appreciate her shout out that we have the #1 downtown. I like that. But it is something that is worked as a team. It's a team effort, and what we do with our small business community and really nurturing them through our city and our organization, the CRA and the Chamber, to really collaborate together and build those relationships. So I would just encourage us to continue to do that and think forward as we build those relationships with our business partners and our property owners. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Allen.
Good afternoon. Deborah Walker, 1312 Northwest 2nd Street here in Delray. The first thing I want to say is thank you to Parks and Recreation for finally getting the Pompey Park pool open. So now I can go swimming.
I was waiting for the pool.
I can go swimming, and I don't have to swim with the iguanas. So that's a blessing. However, I am here to express disapproval of the request for the transfer of West Atlantic 12th Avenue to Swinton from the Florida Department of Transportation to the City of Delray. We want you all to slow down and be transparent, especially since we are going through the set transformation plan update. For example, what was discussed in January and March with city staff and the state. How did this become a priority all of a sudden? What are the environmental implications and responsibilities the city will inherit? How does this affect safety as it relates to the contamination under Atlantic Avenue in front of the gas station that was knocked down at 8th Avenue? Too many questions are unanswered. Let the update process play out publicly. We need to slow it down, and we need to be transparent. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners and citizens. My concern is, I have two concerns. One thing is the budget with the Public Works Department.
Your name, you have to introduce, we know who you are, Miss Ernestine, but you still have to introduce
Ernestine
yourself.
Holiday, I'm sorry, 40 Northwest 9th Avenue.
Thank you.
My concern is, I have two. One is, I'm with Deborah about Atlantic Avenue. Number two is the lighting in the middle of the blocks here in Delray. It is so dark at night that if you're not careful, if you're driving, you will run over someone. Another thing is, how in the world can you prosper when you're renting vehicles in the Public Works Department? You're doing nothing but subtracting from the budget. If you purchase something, at the end of the day, you'll have something. You won't continue being in the deficit area. So I'm concerned about that because I was told that they had stopped leasing vehicles. But it's in the budget hearing, they're still leasing them, or renting them. So we need to think about our budget, what we are doing with it, and how our money is being spent. Because we need street resurface, we need sidewalks. There are a lot of streets that only have sidewalks on one side of the street. And they are not improving our city by the concrete jungle that they are putting all over. That's not a climate control thing, but continue building high rises. That concrete blocks the air where you used to could open your windows and get fresh air year round. Now you can't get it in no time. So that's one of the things. Delray has become a concrete jungle. If you go down a federal highway in the middle of the day, you can't see the sun. And that's a criminal as far as our city is concerned. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you very much. Are there any other members of the public wishing to speak? Seeing none, public comment is closed. We now have the consent agenda as amended, so I need a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It is adopted. It is approved. Okay, regular agenda 7AA, formerly 6E, the approval of the employment agreement with Elena Georgiev. Elena, she said, right?
Right, I just pulled that so she could come say hello.
I want to ask her a question too.
Okay.
I was going to ask her a question.
Maybe we welcome her first.
I'd like to welcome our new internal auditor for the city of Delray Beach, Elena Georgiev.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, staff, and guests. My name is Elena Georgiev, that's for the record, and come May 5th, I will be the new city internal auditor. I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for the warm welcome. I knew that the city of Delray is special, but listening to everybody here tonight just proved that, my feeling was right, and I'm so excited to be here. I want to use that opportunity to thank staff, Dwayne, Dodd, and of course the Raftelis staff, Serena and Ann, for their assistance throughout the process. It's been wonderful so far, and I'm looking forward to what's to come.
Thank you. Let me ask you, I just had one question on the contract, which I read it, I'm delighted and everything, but there's one line in the contract about reasonable expenses, and is there like a parameter, or is it like a conference in Rome is like not as good as a conference in Rome, Georgia, as Rome, Italy?
Rome, Georgia is wonderful. I've been there, so that will work as well.
No, I'm just saying, there are uniform standards that you apply when you in that language, I suppose.
I believe that was the standard language in the contract. I can assure you that my goal is to save as much money as possible, and I'm a frugal individual to begin with, so I will apply the same philosophy here.
Then I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Welcome aboard.
Welcome.
Yay.
We're gonna be great.
Thank you.
We're very, very thrilled you're here.
Mayor, for the record, that was my language.
I'm sorry?
That was my language.
I didn't want to single you out, City Attorney, but
It'll be budgeted, so.
That's all
You'll
I've
have,
been
you'll have
thinking.
some controls.
I just, when I don't see defined terms, it's the lawyer in me, I'm sorry. Anyway, the next item is formerly 6K5,
K5, 7BB.
which is now 7BB, approval of resolutions. Oh, you want to read what it is?
Oh, you want me to read it?
May as well.
Resolution number 61 Oh, sorry, my mic's not on. Resolution number 61-25, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Delray Beach, Florida, approving an agreement with Embark Safety LLC for web-based individual driver record check services utilizing the Orange County, Florida agreement entered into pursuant to invitation to bid Y24-105, authorizing the city manager to execute any amendments thereto and take any and all actions necessary to effectuate the intent of this resolution, providing an effective date and further purposes.
Great.
So this is perfect timing, considering that you talked to Missy Barletto and there was an inquiry about the amount of employees that the city of Delray Beach has, which we have 982 employees currently, to be exact. And we have a large contingency of vehicles that those employees operate, as you know. We were fortunate. We went out and utilized our associations with some of the human resources associations that we're familiar with here in the state of Florida. And we found a company, Embark, that does real-time motor vehicle records checks on employees of municipalities and agencies. We, the number one agency that uses them currently, or the largest, I should say, is Orange County, Florida. They have close to 7,000 employees that they track their motor vehicle licensures. We set up Teams meetings with them on 3 different occasions. Talked about how effective this service was, the notification piece, and the real-time notification that takes place when there's a licensure that becomes suspended or has, something that's notified through the DMV. We thought it was a great tool for us to be associated with, considering that we want to ensure that our employees are licensed properly to operate our vehicles.
Under the circumstances, I think this is a great idea.
Yeah, so that's why it's before you, and we have worked with staff to identify those that operate our vehicles and also receive a stipend, a vehicle stipend that would be monitored as well. So that's what's here before you today, this contract that we were able to piggyback with Orange County's contract with Embark, and they're a company out of Orlando themselves. So that's what's before you.
Okay, Mr. Long, any comments?
I think it's a great idea. In light of some of the discoveries that were made somewhat recently, I think this is the type of solution that we're looking for. So, great work. Thank you.
Commissioner Casal.
Yeah, no, I agree. Thank you for explaining. And, it's unfortunate that we can't rely on the employees to do this on their own. But I think this is good for the residents to know that we're on top of this. And I thank you, Dwayne.
Great. Commissioner Burns?
No questions. Just great solution, and I support it.
Just one quick comment. My brother used to work for the New York State Thruway, and they ran into the same kind of problem we did with people self-reporting issues with their license. It just doesn't work. And this is a solution that's automated. We'll have real-time data. It takes all the guesswork out, and it's not expensive. So this is a great solution.
I need a motion to approve Resolution 61-25.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It is adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We are now on 7A, which is, do we read this?
Did you want to do the quasi-judicial rules for 7A and 9B?
7A and 9, 7? Oh,
Se-
yes, I do need to do the quasis. Yep, sorry.
Sure.
Any people that are here to do on items 7A or 9B, those are quasi-judicial hearings, and I'm going to be reading you the rules, and you will be asked to stand up and swear. These hearings shall be conducted in accordance with quasi-judicial rules. The applicants and the city shall be allowed 15 minutes each to present their case. The public shall be allowed to speak for 3 minutes each, or a maximum of 6 minutes if the person represents an organization or a group of people who are present but agree not to speak. The city commission and staff and the applicant may be allowed to cross-examine a witness. The city or the applicant will be allowed to offer rebuttal testimony. The decision to approve or deny any application or appeal may not be legally made upon personal views as to whether a project is a good project or not, nor may a decision be based on the numbers of citizens who support or oppose a particular project. The law requires that all decisions must be made on the basis of whether or not the projects meet the requirements of law, the comprehensive plan, and the land development regulations. So I'm going to do them separately as the standing for the.
You can do them both together.
Okay,
Just
so
as one.
anyone here on 7A or 9B, please stand and be sworn by the clerk.
By the authority vested in me as a notary of the state of Florida, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you very much.
Do you want me to read it?
Are there any members of here who have ex parte communications with the applicant on 7A?
I did. I spoke to the applicant.
Okay.
And if there's something on the server as well, I think we're doing our new rules, so I don't have to say that. Or do
Not
I
yet,
still?
in May.
Okay,
Oh,
in
yeah,
May.
yeah, that
I
was
can
just
stop
coming
saying
up,
that.
right.
Soon.
Thank you.
Any, I spoke with the applicant.
No.
Okay.
Mayor, do you want me to read the resolution?
Yes, please.
Resolution number 7525, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Delray Beach, Florida, approving a level 4 site plan, architectural elevations, and landscape plan, approving a variance request to section 434K of the Land Development Regulations to reduce the required non-vehicular open space from 25% to 23.9%, approving a waiver request to section 4426H1 of the Land Development Regulations to allow overhead doors to face public rights-of-way, approving a waiver request to section 4426H3 of the Land Development Regulations to reduce the minimum floor area per tenant or bay from 4,000 square feet to a range of 1,519 square feet to 3,038 square feet, and approving a waiver request to section 4616H3A of the Land Development Regulations to reduce the required 5-foot landscape strip between off-street parking or other vehicular areas in the abutting public rights-of-way to 2 feet for the project located at 905 Southwest 14th Avenue, as more particularly described herein, providing for an effective date and further purposes.
Thank you very much. Ms. Janotis, would you please enter the file into the record?
Good evening, Anthea Janotis, Development Services Director for the record, and I'm joined by Senior Planner Alexia Howell as well. I'd like to enter file 2023-159 into the record, and the applicant is here with an overview of the request.
Great.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, public, and staff. Thanks very much. My name is John Tice, and I'm an architect with GHA. My address is 22821 Marbella Circle in Boca Raton. GHA offices are located in Deerfield Beach. We're very glad to present this project, which is a proposed office and inventory building located between Southwest 13th and 14th Avenues, Southwest 8th Street to the north and 10th Street to the south. The property is zoned light industrial, and it has an industrial land use. The site is 2.5 acres, and it has an existing building on the site, which is a business called Rapid Response. Rapid Response is an emergency restoration company that has operated there since about 2012, I believe, and has been a great neighbor in that location. The property that in question is the vacant portion just to the north of the Rapid Response. So I can click through here. The big button. Yeah, there we go. So this is our location of our site. You can see it here. I don't know if this actually works. No, that's okay. The proposed building is it's a 20,000 square foot. Oh, that one's even better. Oh, I see. So this has got it. Okay, so there's our property there. That's the existing building to the left and the vacant portion to the right. This kind of sets the stage where we're located with self-storage to our west. some duplexes to our south, and some multifamily, particularly Island Cove, to our east. The proposed building is it's a 20,000 square foot commercial building with 10 tenant spaces. These spaces are designed to support local small businesses, much to what Kelly spoke about earlier, and also Laura in terms of business creation. Each space varies from 3,000, 2,000 to 1,500 square feet, and it's for a variety of business types and sizes that require an office and some inventory. The bays are designed as flexible, so they could be larger or smaller spaces depending on the business needs. Go through some plans here. Because of the existing layout of the site and the way it's situated, we had limited options on how to lay out and design the project. We basically used the existing driveway to connect it around the building, to loop it, and just tie in with the existing. The existing building had existing overhead doors facing both the east and the west, and offices to the south. So basically we took the same basic layout, we really didn't have too many options, and we continued that design. We placed a dry retention area to the north, the right side of the screen there. That's our floor plan. Yeah, so the right side is the dry retention area. The building basically has character and architecture very similar to the existing building. One thing that's important on this project, we were required to dedicate a 5-foot right-of-way along the east side. That's the bottom of the plan there. We were still able to create more than the minimum landscape strip along the east side on the new property, which was 7.5 feet, in which only 5 feet is required. And on the west side, we were providing 12.5-foot landscape, where only 5 is required. We've met all of the basic requirements for landscape, setbacks, building height, etc. We've also were asked to provide a new bus shelter, which we're providing on Southwest 14th Avenue at the top of the page. And we were also asked to provide, which we will provide, street lighting along Southwest 13th Avenue. I've been a practicing architect for over 30 years, and this will be the first project that I've been asked to provide street lighting, which we're happy to do. So basically the use is a continuation of the current allowed use. It's a very similar type structure. We were approved with some conditions at the January 27th Planning and Zoning Board meeting. There were some waivers that were discussed. Bay size was one of them. One of the codes in Delray, so you were required to have larger bays, and we argued that smaller bays would be more conducive to small businesses, so we don't have to. These folks don't have to rent these large, expensive spaces. We had a waiver for the overhead doors, which, if there were any other way to design the site, we would. We had to have some overhead doors facing both right-of-ways. There was one variance for open space, which we achieved. As well. And the one area that we had a little bit of a bind with landscape is at the existing. There are some parking spaces in the building on the east side on the south, which got a little bit squeezed due to the 5-foot right-of-way taking, so we were forced to have a slightly smaller landscape strip there. But we compensated with in other ways as well. Okay, I just kind of mentioned some of the conditions at the P&Z meeting. The P&Z was focused on the east side, the side that faces the Island Cove apartments. We understand that there's a sensitivity there to be facing a multifamily. So the board had asked that we reduce the impact of the project as it faced Island Cove. So what we did, maybe I should go to some renderings here. So one of the things that we did is we made sure that our landscaping was tall, especially along that facade. We started with a 6-foot clusia hedge, which we're happy to allow to be maintained at 8 feet. And we made sure that our trees essentially block most of the view of the building, and that the gate on that side remain closed during business hours and be opaque. So essentially, there's not too much visual impact from the Island Cove side or any side of the building. So we also agreed that the trees would be designed, the Dahoon holly trees would be set up so that they're 16 feet high, and we'll provide kind of a barrier, in that particular sense. This is what it looks like from a bird's eye view on the inside of the fence. We've hidden all the mechanical equipment. There's nothing on the roof. We've treated the overhead doors to blend in with the building using color treatments so that they kind of fade away and disappear. We've designed the building as a pre-engineered metal structure with concrete block exterior, stuccoed with stone on the base and a little bit of an accent blue trim along the top. Basically, that's our project. So, in closing, this project is a tremendous job creator, and we think that not only for the city, that maybe the folks of this neighborhood might start businesses here, might work here. A lot of other uses that can happen in the light industrial district, so we felt this is a very gentle, positive use in the community, and we're treating the architecture and the landscape in a means that's sensitive to those residents and that community in that area. So we look forward to answering any questions you might have.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
To the city.
Okay. We'll give Darcy a minute to switch out the presentation. This is, as a level 4, this is a final action for this project, including all of the relief that is being requested. So, all right, so again, I think you have a pretty good overview of the site. It is zoned light industrial, and this is an area of the city where light industrial is across the street from residential, and so that's, important to take into consideration in terms of the findings for compatibility and other things. So this is, you'll remember last year we had the groundbreaking for the Island Cove addition. To the north is the established apartments that are also residential. And I think it's important to note that the site does have an existing building, and that is kind of informing one of the waivers that you would be granting. So again, this is a 1-story, 20,000 square foot warehouse and office. The relief that is requested is to slightly reduce the non-vehicular open space requirement. The minimum is 25%, and they're around 24%. So there's a slight adjustment that is being requested. In this area, overhead doors are not allowed to face the right-of-way, and even with the adjustments that we just approved, because they're facing residential zoning, overhead doors would still not be allowed. So there's a specific waiver that has to be granted for this project to move forward in the proposed configuration. And then I think the applicant gave you a good overview of the request to reduce the minimum floor area per bay. And maybe that's something that the code is just behind on not following the market. And then the landscape buffer moving from 5 feet to 2 feet. So there is also, if you decide to approve the project, there is 7A1, which is related to this fence. I'm not sure if I'm on the right side, but let me just explain to you exactly why there is a right-of-way agreement. So on 14th, this street requires a 5-foot dedication. There are no improvements that are planned in the short term, but ultimately the right-of-way would be wider. However, the current property has a better than typical fence, and we don't have improvements planned coming up. So there's an agreement that if the project is approved, would allow the fence to stay within the new city right-of-way, and then ultimately, if and when improvements occur, the applicant would be responsible for removing it, or we would be allowed to remove it ourselves down the line. So that's just a detail, but I just wanted to show it to you because these photos give you a pretty good overview. So this is the building that's existing. This is the parking that is existing. When that right-of-way, that 5-foot dedication happens and the invisible line slips over, the landscaping between the parking and the sidewalk will shift from 7 feet to 2 feet, and that is one of the waivers. So, and again, in this case, this really is, it's already there. So short of asking them to remove the parking, it's sort of an existing condition. Waiver 2 is related to the bay size, the tenant size, and the marketability of the size of the tenant spaces. And then the other waiver is related to these doors, which face residential. This side, I think, is not a subject of quite as much of an issue because it faces other industrial properties, and under the code amendments that we're considering, this wouldn't even require a waiver on this side. So really the concern is being a good neighbor to the Island Cove property that is across the street. And then the other waiver is that the open space that they have provided is just slightly under the minimum. They have like 2 or 3 extra parking spaces. So if you really wanted to try to get the green space, they could give up a slight surplus of parking. And I think it's just a question of which is more important. The business, of course, feels the parking is necessary. So overhead doors facing the right-of-way. Again, they're not allowed unless it's clearly demonstrated there's no other opportunity. Even with the changes we're making, these would be subject to that limitation. You've heard about the tenant sizes and the landscape plan. And so it's a plan. It's hard to explain, but the invisible line is shifting over, and that's what's going to change the width of the buffer. But it's not something that I think will physically show in the short term. So the waivers, which are the landscape and the overhead doors, the criteria that you have is whether allowing the waiver will adversely affect the neighboring area, or will it diminish public facilities, create an unsafe situation, or is it a special privilege? The applicant did pursue a right-of-way reduction, and it was rejected by the Development Services Management Group. And the proposal to just allow the fence to remain in the short term was sort of the recommended path, and the applicant has been amenable to that. And I think ultimately the question of the adversely affecting the neighborhood is really related to the aesthetics, and that was the concern that if you watch Planning Board, they were concerned about. The reduction for open space, again, it is a 1.1% reduction from the minimum requirement. I mean, people can always do more than the minimum, as I say, but they do have 20 more spaces than the code requires to accommodate employees. And so ultimately it's a question of whether the parking or the green space. And both are relevant because if the parking is not right, it's going to go onto the street, and the residents are right there and they use that on-street parking. So ultimately allowing a smaller amount of deviation for the landscape might be warranted in this case, because the impacts actually could be greater if the parking isn't sufficient. So the variance is the open space, because there are different ways the regulations are done in the code. Prior to trying to bundle all of these requests together into one unified plan, this would have been a separate consideration by the Board of Adjustment in this case. To get that holistic review, don't laugh at me. We've bundled them together, and in this case, the Commission has purview for this. And those have different requirements. Like, is it a special condition? Is a literal interpretation of the regulations going to deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed? Is there a special condition or circumstance? Is it a special privilege if they receive this? Is it the minimum amount necessary to make reasonable use of the land? And is it in harmony with the general purpose and intent, or will it be injurious? So it does have different standards than waivers do. These, as it's a new construction, it has to be compliant with Section 3.3, which is all of the standards related to building new things, and the comprehensive plan. And the staff report for planning the zoning board really provides, I think, all of those details if you're interested in them. And so the required finding for site plan is that whether the building design and lighting meet all of the relevant standards, and they would if the overhead doors are deemed to be okay facing a right-of-way, pedestrian and bicycle vehicular connections. All of this has been I think, improved with the site plan that's there. There's a pedestrian gate. It's working out. I do just one issue about vehicular connections because the stacking requirements, the gate needs to be open while the business is functioning, but it would be shielding a little more from view with the more opaque design when the business is closed in the evenings and weekends. Again, the open space and recreational amenities, this doesn't have top lots or anything required for this business. And the traffic report and the TPS analysis, I really found this to be a de minimis amount of traffic that would happen from this. It was listed 21 trips at peak time, so it's not expected to negatively impact. Intensity and compatibility, the project's FAR and all of that aligns with the code. However, the fact that it is directly adjacent to residential needs to be considered as you're looking at the project. And then it is not subject to green requirements with the size that it is, right? Okay, just checking. So on Planning and Zoning Board, they recommended approval, but they did it with conditions. And the first condition is a little bit vague in terms of like, hey, the architectural elevations and overhead doors should be modified to be more aesthetically pleasing. The hedge, the applicant is perfectly willing to grow the hedges as tall as needed to shield as much as possible. There are existing hedges. It would be a matter of maintaining them as well. And then the other issue that the planning board had was about the location of the new, as the property is vacant right now, they're putting in a new vehicular entrance. And it's sort of aligns with looking at the doors. And so I'll show you that real quick. So when it went to planning board, this is what the elevation looked like. So this is the requirement. The doors were different style and color, and the applicant has tried to blend them more in just through the paint and other things. Same thing on the other side where it's maybe not as much of an issue. Again, these are the senior landscape planner has thoroughly reviewed the site plan and worked with the applicant on the type of hedge and trees that could be planted along to try to ensure that there's adequate screening from the residential across the street. It is this new curb cut, which provides a view into the more industrial building that I think was the subject of discussion at Planning and Zoning Board, and sort of suggesting that maybe this other point of access and the one that is existing were sufficient. I'm sure the applicant can speak to the intended use as to whether or not, I mean, they didn't agree to take it out, so they agreed to upgrade the screen for the gate. Again, staff had discussed and recommended to them that this be the one that be considered. Planning and Zoning Board did discuss it. The applicant has declined to make that adjustment. And then the idea was just to get a more opaque fence, and so then it would be closed and sort of operating more to shield from view. And I think that concludes everything I have, and I'm available if you have questions, and we can go back to your presentation as well if you need.
Great, thank you very much. Now it's time for public comment. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this item? Please come to the lectern, give your name and address. You will each have 3 minutes. Seeing none, public comment is closed. Is there cross-examination or rebuttal between we have no witnesses, so.
No, I don't have anything to add. I think that summed it up nicely. Thank you.
Okay, that's fine. To the commission. Commissioner Casal.
I'll start. I met with the owner, and I know this was a long process to get you to this place and when he explained it all. But I'm very excited about retaining light industrial in the city. We don't have a lot of that land use, so anything we can do to keep it, I'm happy about. The overhead doors, the only thing I would not, I like the recommendation from the planning and zoning, or if that was your determination, to create the look of a 12-foot door versus a 14-foot, because you need 14-foot with industrial. But I think that adequately addresses the problem. The color being white and the blue, that's a great solution. I would not agree with the planning and zoning that there should only be one entrance at all. And I'm fine with, I like the varying bay sizes because it'll accommodate different individuals instead of all being the same. And I don't have a problem with the landscape buffer, so I support this project. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Commissioner Long.
Yeah, we're actually entertaining expanding the uses on our light industrial properties to bring in more uses similar to this in many ways, and so this is great. I think that all of the waivers and the variants that you've asked for meet the required findings. I think you found a clever way to sort of hide these doors based on planning and zoning's recommendation. I'm all for this. I agree with Commissioner Casal that we need to be doing whatever we can to keep light industrial uses in Delray, and so I think we should be rolling out the red carpet for anyone coming in here for this type of thing. So you have my full support. Thank you.
Commissioner Burns.
Yes, I just have one question. I see that everything appears to meet the requirements, but you said that there was one of the waivers related to the existing building. What was that about?
Sorry. So the area where the landscape buffer will not meet the 5-foot minimum is where this building is already on the site, and as is this parking and the fence. So if you can see, this building is slightly fatter than the new building. They can't, once the dedication of 5 feet happens here, this little bit of landscaping will only be 2 feet instead of the required 5 feet. Everything new that they're building will meet the required buffer. It's that there's an older warehouse building, and once the roadway dedication happens, it technically will take away green space. You won't perceive the green space being gone until if and when the city does an improvement to that street and maybe puts on-street parking on the other side or something like that. In the short term, you won't see the reduced green space.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Marker.
Yeah, I echo Julie and Rob's comments about light industrial. That's really important to our future going forward, and I think this project looks really good. So I appreciate the work that you did, and I really appreciate you making some modifications that P&Z asked for as well.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Anthea, but for the dedication, we wouldn't have that issue with respect to the landscape at all.
Correct.
Right? Okay, that's fine. And in fact, with the other, from going from 23.9 versus 25, the same thing is because the dedication essentially pushes that ratio as well, doesn't it?
The 23. Oh, for the open space?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Well, I mean, that is related more to the new construction and the amount of parking that they're trying to accommodate on site. So if they could, for example, erase a couple of these, they could erase some of this
I'd rather
parking.
them have the parking.
Exactly, and because residential's across
it's
the
all
street, it's a little bit of a trade-off.
It's all essentially being shielded anyway by the fence and the trees, right? I mean,
Exactly, that's correct.
And I think having the base sizes the way they are, I think that's great. I think it's going to encourage smaller businesses to get a chance to
Right.
and there's going to be you'll probably find a lot of people in that neighborhood who are going to be able to really use that.
Absolutely.
Because it's just nothing available for them like that. So I think it's a great idea. So
Okay.
I'm in favor of it.
Motion to approve resolution number 75-25 with the inclusion of the recommended modifications to the overhead doors.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Could you please call the roll?
Commissioner Marker?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Long?
Yes.
Commissioner Casal?
Yes.
Deputy Vice Mayor Burns?
Yes.
Mayor Carney?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great.
Motion to approve the agreement with GS Deerfield LLC to permit the owner to leave in place and maintain an existing fence with the right-of-way along Southwest 13th Ave.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Great, perfect. All right, item 7B, nomination for appointment to the Opioid Settlement Advisory Committee. It's going to be based on the rotation system. Commissioner Markert has the first choice.
This is getting, people are writing and this is confusing, but this is to be helpful. Mr. Ridley is on this list and he reached out to me and I think he would be a great asset, but I think your daughter was looking to apply for some of these funds, correct? So if that's the case, I don't know if you'd want to sit because that could preclude her from getting it, correct?
No, it would mean he would have to recuse himself
From the
both
vote?
from the discussion and the vote.
Okay,
Both.
thank you.
You wouldn't be allowed to do either.
Is that so? Question: If the woman that is going to come and present, she would be a great asset to this board. But if she's looking for funding for her own, she couldn't vote. Should she apply? I mean, this is the question. Many of the people who are in the know are qualified to get the money.
I was under the impression there was an advisory board and that this board would seek out viable candidates to receive the money.
Right, but I'm saying, should a viable candidate also sit on the board because they have a bank of knowledge?
No.
Okay.
No.
Can I
Okay.
make a point?
Yeah, would you please
So
explain?
the board is going to be subject to sunshine because they are making advisory recommendations to the city commission. So, you know, there'll be those ethical requirements that they'll have to, just similar to our other city boards, right? So if somebody is sitting on the board and they have a family member who may be presenting to the board, they'll just have to recuse themselves from the discussion and the vote. And if somebody, I mean, I would caution somebody who wants to sit on this committee that also wants to potentially be a recipient of these grant funds, because that's a clear conflict of interest.
Thank you.
It certainly is. The perception is.
And one other question, did we advertise this? Because I expected a lot more people to be signing up for this.
It is on our website.
Okay, thank you.
Quick question. Since there's 5 of us and there's only 5 positions here and there's only 5 applicants, instead of doing a rotation thing here, can we just agree to appoint the 5 applicants in one vote
I
instead
second that.
That's okay. That's fine. We can
Yeah,
do that.
let's just do that.
Done.
Do we need to do them separately?
I guess my only concern is that there's requirements, you know, the mental health professional, if those are all met, then I don't think there's an issue.
Oh.
But if you don't, do you see what I'm saying? Because you have to have 2 at large,
Right.
1 addiction professional, 1 mental health professional, and 1 healthcare professional. So if those aren't met, if they're met, it's fine. If they're not
do we know if they're met?
I'm going to have to look. I'm sorry. I couldn't say about
No,
everybody.
they're not.
I don't think they
Oh,
are.
sugar.
They're not met.
Because
We have the 2 at large.
Right.
And we have the fire and police, but we don't have the others. I mean, it's on the website, but I don't think it was marketed well.
Is it marketed?
I mean,
Terrence?
we've been talking about it forever. However,
Yeah.
I would think that more people would be interested in serving on this board. It's been talked about for over a year.
We already have the police rep. Is that right?
Right.
Correct.
And the other one we already have is, and we have the 2 at large.
Right.
Yep.
Right. We already have those. So what's left? One has of the 3 applicants. One would have to. One would have to be a member representing the city of Delray Beach Fire. So that would not be.
Can we go ahead with it and then still look for these
We
other
have a
professionals to
fire
go?
person?
Yes.
You can.
I think we need
Yeah,
to.
but I'm not
So
seeing
we-
any licensed mental health professional.
Not yet.
Licensed. Right. So do we want
Well,
to?
there's Jeffrey Lefton is a director of behavioral health services.
Yeah, I think he's a healthcare professional. I think you could call him a.
And we have Joseph Mazzio from the fire department. We have Ariana from the police. So it looks like actually we have 1 police, 1 fire, 1 qualified, and 2 non-qualified. Right here.
We can. Yeah. I think it's enough
This
to get
chart
started.
indicates we're good.
The idea of presenting this evening, ladies and gentlemen, is to give the commission an opportunity to get started.
Yes.
So it's a continuous process nevertheless, and we made a commitment a couple meetings ago to bring this back at this time. So this is the outcome thus far, but we can maintain it as a continuous process, and that's
We're gonna have
totally
to because
appropriate.
We can't fill the slots.
Well, wait a second. If you said 1 police, 1, can you, the slots are 1 fire department rep,
Right,
1
we have that one.
police.
Do we have a fire?
Yeah,
Yes.
1 qualified applicant, and we have the non-qualified.
And I was going to nominate Steve Pasofsky, who's a retired doctor dentist.
He didn't, has he applied?
Yeah, his name's right there.
Okay,
But he would be
he's
at large.
at the as the non-qualified,
That's
right?
correct.
He would
Yeah.
be at large, yeah.
Yeah, but he would be at large. Those 2 are already.
No, he would be included in the 2 at large, right?
Right.
Mr. Ridley and this gentleman.
And then,
So are you suggesting we take these 5 and get the process going and then look to fill the other 2 seats at a certain point in the future? Calling out for anybody we know who might be qualified and look to.
I think we need to get the information out that it's open and available so that we would get someone to apply.
So the thinking is that you go ahead and proceed today as outlined and continue to engagement process. However, the city commissioners in an individual role can feel free to encourage individuals who may have an interest as well. So that's something I think we highlighted in a report going back a number of weeks ago. Nevertheless, our commitment this evening, working with the Office of the City Clerk and others involved, is to expand the marketing efforts accordingly. But nevertheless, you do have a viable option to get started.
So we do these 5 and then we begin the rotation over again.
I think you need to identify which ones are going to be vacant so that those can be properly
Marketed.
advertised.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we know we have the police and we know we have the fire. We have a qualified applicant in the Director of Behavioral Health, so that
So
would
that's
fall
mental
under
health
mental health
professional?
professional.
Okay.
That would be
And then the
left in,
residents.
right?
So
And
you
then
just
we
need
have
4 and
the
5.
2 at large. So you need an addiction professional and a healthcare professional.
Yes. So
Which
I
we
think-
will market.
But you could technically maybe say that left in could maybe be healthcare, but I think behavioral health would fall more under mental. So you need a healthcare professional and a certified addiction professional to fill the remaining 2
peer
seats.
recovery.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
And I'm not seeing those, so we don't have those yet as applicants, correct?
Go find
No,
them.
we don't.
Gotta go find them.
Okay. So how do we want to do these nominations?
Can we do it in one vote? Just
Yes, you can just do a motion to approve.
But we need to clarify
Exhibit A.
because
Clarify
that would
who we're-
mean
which
I'll
ones
get the
we're appointing
next
to-
vote and
appointing
Rob,
to.
will, Mr. Markert will get the next vote and then Mr. Long would get the next vote. The next 2 votes go to Mr. Or we should.
No,
I
Commissioner
mean-
Marker gets the first.
Right, but that's my point. If we do this all as one vote, when you circle back around next time for these 2 individuals remaining, Mr. Markert gets the next choice and Mr. Long gets the following.
So we'll do them separately.
I'm
That's
okay with
fine.
that. I'm okay with that.
Well, I think we want to designate where they're being appointed, so,
We did that.
okay, so Mr. Markert, well, I'd rather do them separately if we could.
Do the
If
process.
that's okay?
Care.
All right, so Mr. Markert, you have the first choice.
At large, Mr. Steve Pasovsky.
Do I have a second?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. Commissioner Long?
I guess for an at-large seat, Charles Ridley.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Fine, adopted. Third is Commissioner Casal.
I will do Miss Ariana Ciancio for the police.
For the police slot, okay?
Yes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Deputy Vice Mayor Burns. Are there any left for us?
You can do Mr.
Mazzio
Lefton.
or
Huh?
Lefton.
Mr. Lefton.
Mazzio or Lefton. Or
Uh,
left.
mental health professional.
Nominate Mr. Lefton as the mental health professional.
Right.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so
You have the
You
fire.
have the last one.
I have the last one, but there's no one qualified.
Mazzio for fire.
Oh, Mazzio for fire, yes, okay. I nominate Mazzio for fire. This is
Second.
the fire seat. You need a second?
You got-
I did.
They did.
I
All in
second.
favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Great,
So we all got
everyone got one. There we go.
Woo.
So now we start again.
And then you're going to direct staff to advertise those 2 vacant.
And that is the direction. So we'll work to advertise the 2 remaining vacant opportunities based on the remaining criteria. So working with the Office of the City Clerk, we'll begin immediately.
And just to clarify, that's the healthcare professional and the certified addiction professional.
Yes,
Those are the
indeed.
two we're gonna have to advertise for, correct. Great,
And we can send people to the site, right? Okay.
yeah, I think so. Okay, 17, nomination for appointment to the Board of Adjustment based on the rotation system. This will be Commissioner Marker.
I nominate Michelle Wilson.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Good. 7D, Resolution 8125, amending the fiscal year budget adopted by Resolution 17524.
Resolution number 81-25, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Delray Beach, Florida, amending its budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2024, by providing for supplemental appropriations in the amounts identified in Exhibit A, repealing all resolutions inconsistent herewith, providing an effective date and further purposes.
Mr. Dokowitz.
Mayor and Commissioners, we have a number of budget amendments here. I'm reading through on Exhibit A. So we're starting in the general fund, where there's a use of a surplus, a rollover of $28,150, transfer from the cemetery fund of $88,281 is being used by human resources. Additional funds needed for employee recognition, training and education, promotional activities, and subscriptions. Parks and Recreation is using it for community center and Pompey Park repairs, reassignment of cemetery fund contingency account for a cemetery project. Engineering department, it's just a transfer of line items from professional services, and it's going to be sent to the general construction fund. That's the total of the adjustments to the general fund. The next page, the neighborhood services fund. Again, using prior year surplus of $1,523,216.78, and that is being used for owner-occupied rehabilitation, homeowner subsidy, and grants. Transfers are between the grant budget accounts and additional funds needed for rehabilitation and homeowner subsidies. In the general construction fund, we're using a prior surplus of $48,383.29 and the prior mentioned transfer from the general fund of $69,572. It'll be used for a capital outlay for design and construction services. The stormwater utility fund, we are increasing the amount for capital outlay by decreasing a different aspect of the capital outlay and decreasing other contractual services. And in the cemetery fund, as we mentioned before, we're taking out non-operating contingency funds in the amount of $88,281 and transferring it to the general fund to Parks and Recreation Cemetery.
Great. I have some questions. Well, Commissioner, we'll start with Commissioner Long.
None from me.
Commissioner Mark.
None for me.
None.
Commissioner Casal.
I'm looking at this sheet. You can go ahead of me.
My questions are, I'm looking for some understanding of what some of the money's going to go for, because I know we're redoing a lot of things at Pompey Park. We got a $44 million project coming up the road there, and the neighborhood services funds. It's $1.5 million. I mean, were these previously budgeted and they weren't spent? Is that what this is?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. Pardon me.
Yeah, that's fine. And the general construction fund, what design and construction services are we talking about? I mean, do you know specifically what we're talking about?
It says engineering department.
Oh, sorry, what?
And it says engineering department under transfer to.
No, I saw the sheet there. Yeah. But to other specific, it just seems like a lot. I'm just curious what the numbers are. I mean,
We're just moving it from one budget item to another. It's the same funds that have already been appropriated.
well, I understand that part, but I'm just trying to wonder, just because it's been appropriated, and if we don't need to spend it, I'd rather not spend it. But I'm just wondering what the services are that we're paying for the design and construction service.
I do not have the details. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So, Ms. Barletto, if I can ask you, this is the engineering division. The division of the Department of Public Works. So what we can do as far as future considerations, Mr. Dakowitz, is work with the respective departments to provide some specifics to help address that question. Those types of questions in advance, and it's not a bad idea. Of course, and many...
Those are the granularity.
I was about to mention that, if I may, Mr. Mayor. This is a function of that granularity philosophy that we are now embarking so that we can get to the base plus possible. This does include budget transfer adjustment considerations for city commission review and involvement. So prospectively, for the most part, they're pretty straightforward, and we're able to outline why we are where we are with respect to transfers, adjustments, etc. But to offer some specifics in that regard is consistent with the overall mission of more granularity. So if we can offer that commentary moving forward in the future, we will. That will be the direction. And working closely with the individual departments, that will be updated in future reports and considerations.
Okay. Well, I hope so.
Well, we will. That's the direction, and I've just made that commitment on the record.
Good. Ms. Casal, are you ready to make a motion, or what do you do?
I guess so, but I'm a little bit with the mayor when I'm looking at this sheet. It's talking total expenditure increases are $263,953, but then it says decreases are only 147,522, showing a difference of the 116. And the 116 is the budgeted amendment amount that you're moving into the general fund or out of the general
Yes,
fund?
some of the funds are moving from fund to fund.
Right, I see that on the first sheet. I would make one recommendation if you don't mind. When we did the agenda cover reports before, on that report, it showed fund transfer to fund transfer. So it was a little bit clearer for us. And if you don't mind, I'll email you a sheet that'll show you, and it might make it easier if you don't mind.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is approved.
Thank you.
8B. I didn't want, I was gonna have you read it, because well, it's not that long.
Did you say 8A or 8B?
8A.
8A, you mean?
8A, right, excuse me, 8A.
Or-
What did I say?
B.
Oh, I was reading B, I'm sorry.
Ordinance number 11-25, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Delray Beach, Florida, amending the land development regulations of the City of Delray Beach Code of Ordinances, Chapter 4, zoning regulations, Article 4.4, base zoning district, Section 4.4.9, general commercial GC district, subsection B, principal uses and structures permitted to add veterinary clinics as a principal use, amending subsection D, conditional uses and structures allowed to remove veterinary clinics as a conditional use, amending section 4.4.11, neighborhood commercial NC district, subsection B, principal uses and structures permitted to add veterinary clinics as a principal use, amending subsection D, conditional uses and structures allowed to remove veterinary clinics as a conditional use, amending section 4.4.13, central business CBD district, subsection C, allowable uses, table 4.4.13A, allowable uses and structures in the CBD subdistricts to classify veterinary clinics as a principal use instead of a conditional use, amending section 4.4.16, professional and office POD district, subsection B, principal uses and structures permitted to add veterinary clinics as a principal use, amending subsection D, conditional uses and structures allowed to remove veterinary clinics as a conditional use, and by amending section 4.4.29, mixed residential office and commercial MROC district, subsection B, principal uses and structures permitted to add veterinary clinics as a principal use, amending subsection E, conditional uses and structures allowed to remove veterinary clinics as a conditional use, providing a conflict use of severability clause authority to codify, providing an effective date and for other purposes. And this is
A second
second
reading,
reading, and it's first reading, and it's a public hearing because it's adding.
No, I
use.
understand that, this is the first complete hearing.
Yes.
So we're gonna have,
There's no presentation.
I mean, this is city initiated, does anybody wanna hear this story again about the
Motion
veterinary
to
clinic?
approve.
No, we need to open it up for public comment.
Oh, yes, I'm
Okay,
sorry, this is
after
a public
public
hearing.
comment.
Anybody wishing to speak on this item, please come to the lectern, give your name and address. You will each have 3 minutes. Seeing none, public comment is closed to the commission.
Thank you so much. Motion to approve
Second.
ordinance number 11-25.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Now 8B.
So, Mayor, this is quasi judicial.
Yes.
No, sorry, it's
No,
not.
9B,
sorry,
9B
sorry,
is
sorry.
the question.
Ordinance number 14-25, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Delray Beach, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances, Title 5, Public Works, Chapter 56, Stormwater, Section 56.02, Scope and Purpose, to clarify the reference to the system, amending section 56.04 definitions, amending the definitions for common element, non-assessed property, stormwater management assessment, and unimproved land, and adopting definitions for condominium property, condominium unit, cooperative, to expand definitions and clarify assessment methods, to establish a standardized rate for unimproved land, to align with the Florida statutes for non-ad valorem assessments for common elements, amending section 56.15, imposition of stormwater management assessment, classification and criteria, to add condominium property as an additional classification, and amending section 56.16, establishment of rate for stormwater management assessments, to clarify how common elements are assessed, providing a conflict clause, providing a severability clause, authority to codify, and providing an effective date, and this is second reading.
Thank you very much. Ms. Barletta.
Turn that on. Good evening. Missy Barletta, Director of Public Works. I will make this as quick as I can. So this is the ordinance when we first changed over the way that we formulate the stormwater utility assessment, moving from equivalent resident units to stormwater units. There were a number of things that were built into the original ordinance that people had issues with. Commission asked us to make changes to create some exemptions and clarify other things to bring our ordinance more in line with state statutes. So the summary of what we've amended in the ordinance, we have provided definitions of what is a condominium property, a condominium unit, cooperative, non-assessed property, and unimproved land. The assessment process of unimproved land, condominium units, and residential common areas, as well as those exemptions. So in May of 2023, residential properties with less than 10,000 square feet of impervious coverage were assigned to one of 4 tiers. Residential property that were given a stormwater unit designation. Residential properties with more than 10,000 square feet of impervious coverage were charged based on the actual impervious surface of their property. Non-residential properties were based on actual impervious also and stormwater units, and there was no more discount provided for private drainage systems because those feed into the public system and have to be dealt with in the public system. Exemptions are provided for religious organizations, the Palm Beach County School Board, FDOT, Lake Worth Drainage District, and for city-owned parcels.
May I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
Do we have to exempt FDOT, Palm Beach County School Board, Lake Worth Drainage District?
Those
I
are
don't
set
mind.
forth in statute.
Oh, sugar.
Yeah.
We do, unfortunately.
Hi.
We
All
do.
right, thank you, Missy.
We tried not to. They caught us. Okay, so the definition of...
All offices of the Internal Revenue Service can be assessed. So just let you know. I'm kidding.
So the definition of unimproved land is any piece of undeveloped land, regardless of its land use classification, that contains 500 square feet of impervious area or less. So of that, there are both commercial unimproved properties and residential. All of those are now assigned 1 stormwater unit as opposed to 2.7 stormwater units. In total, there are only 676 parcels of unimproved land in the city, and the annual cost of those is reduced about $13,000 to $9,085. So it is not a major impact.
Okay.
So one of the bigger things that we have struggled with is bringing the residential common areas of a condominium complex into compliance with state statute in this ordinance. Initially, we had measured the residential common areas, charged it to the HOA. Statute requires us actually to take those common areas, divide it by the number of people who are in that condominium subdivision, and then add that to each individual stormwater assessment on their tax bill.
Yeah, I was curious about this provision because in some condominiums that charge their common elements based on, number of units. Others do it on size of the unit.
Right.
Is that going to be, so if you got a 1,000 square foot unit and a 5,000 square foot unit?
Yes, you're all going to be charged the same.
Okay, that's what I want to know.
It's
Okay.
It's based on each individual unit's
Parcel ID, I got it. I just
yep.
was curious how they were going to do it.
So this is a case study to be more clear about how that will work out. So in the Rainberry community, that entire plat on the left is the entire Rainberry community, but the part of the Rainberry community that includes the tennis courts, which is the common area, is the very small area that is laid out in red. So even though the entire community may get to enjoy that amenity, only the people who are inside the red boundary will be paying the stormwater assessment for that common area.
That's what the statute says?
That's not gonna.
That's really unsporting. No, I mean, because the whole
Just being
community has
clear.
the benefit of the tennis courts.
Yes. So there is an appeals process if people don't like what is in the stormwater their stormwater assessment. They come into the Public Works Department. They meet with our stormwater engineer, Juan Cuesta, and he will go all the way through the process with them and determine if there has been a mistake and correct it or not.
Thank you, Tallahassee. It worked fine before.
Questions?
Mr. Long.
Nope, thank you.
Mr. Marker.
Yuck.
Wait
Ms.
till I
Gasol.
bring you the increases.
Yeah. I mean,
No, thank you for the presentation, Missy.
Mayor, this is a public hearing.
I mean, no, we got, oh, yes, I'm just asking if they have
I know,
comments.
I just don't want
That's
you to
to the
forget.
commission, then it's to public. Oh, no, it's not. This is a public hearing. Anybody who would like to come up and gripe about this, I mean, anyone who would like to get up to speak about this, please come to the lectern, give your name and address. You will each have 3 minutes. Seeing none, back to the commission. Commissioner Gasol?
No, I mean, it is what it is. What are we?
Okay.
What
Commissioner
what
Burns?
can I say?
No questions, thank you.
Okay. Then I guess I need a motion to.
Motion to approve ordinance number 14-25.
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Phew, that's really.
It looked like Jim Chard was gonna get up.
I thought he was. He was moving around in his seat.
Next one.
Okay. This. What should we have next?
Ordinance number 10-25. An
This
ordinance.
is a quasi.
No, not yet. Next one.
No, excuse me. Right.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Delray Beach, Florida, amending the land development and regulations of the City of Delray Beach Code of Ordinances, amending Chapter 4, zoning regulations, Article 4.3, district regulations, general provisions, Section 434, base district development standards, by amending subsection H setbacks to modify the building elements and site improvements permitted within the building setback area, amending Chapter 4, zoning regulations, Article 4.6, supplemental district regulations, Section 4615, swimming pool, whirlpools, and spas, to adopt regulations for pool setbacks for duplex developments, providing a conflicts clause, a severability clause, authority to codify, providing an effective date, and further purposes. This is first reading.
This
Motion
is
to approve ordinance number 10-25.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Adopted.
This
This
is
is
a
9B. This is a
quasi-judicial.
quasi-judicial hearing.
Yes. So ex parte.
Anyone have any ex parte conversations on this matter?
May I look at it for a moment?
Sure.
This is
Mr.
Mr. Schiller.
Yes,
Neil
sir.
Schiller said he's waiving his rights to make a presentation of something, as he said in
But
his.
it's a first read, right?
And it's a first read.
But it's quasi-judicial, so we have to go through
Yes.
the
I spoke-
motions. I have to read the caption, and then we'll open up for public comment, and then we can have our
Okay.
discussion.
And I spoke to the applicant and the representative on this one.
Yeah, I spoke with the applicant. and
I
the
feel like I
representative.
must have
Me
as
too.
well. Sorry,
Mr. Long, any ex
right,
parte?
0.7 acres
I
GC to
did.
POV.
I don't remember speaking to anyone about this. I don't think I actually did.
I don't know, I think you're
I
safer
went
if
out
you
of
say you
town,
did.
somebody called me.
Okay.
Ordinance number 13-25, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Delray Beach, Florida, rezoning land measuring approximately 0.79 acres located at 1660 South Congress Avenue, as more particularly described herein, from professional and office district to general commercial district, amending the City of Delray Beach zoning map July 6, 2021, providing a conflicts clause and a severability clause, providing an effective date and further purposes.
Right, so do we need to open it up to the public?
Please.
This is a public hearing. Anybody wishing to speak on this first reading item, 9B, please come to the podium, give your name and address for the record. You will each have 3 minutes. Jim Chart's moving again. I see no, so public comment is closed. Back to the commission. Do we need a motion to approve?
Motion to approve ordinance number 13-25.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, great. Comments and inquiries on non-agenda items, city manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I actually have a couple items. First and foremost, I'd like to clarify, and for the record, the city of Delray Beach, there was some commentary offered a couple times this evening relative to being in a deficit position. The city of Delray Beach is not in a deficit position. Delray Beach, like every other municipality, is legally obligated to offer a balanced budget recommendation as well as to administer balanced budget outcomes, thus your budget adjustment policies that you have in place, as well as what I talked about during this afternoon's budget workshop engagement, whereby during the June 10th session, we'll have an opportunity to highlight what the potential will be to achieve a balanced budget when we take under consideration full revenue picture, expenditure picture, not to mention what the Office of the City Manager's considerations to be made available. So that is not the case. Again, these are preliminary snapshots of what may be potentially considered as we finalize balanced budget recommendations. But to be clear, once again, it's not a deficit position. So I'm pleased to report that and offer that clarification. Additionally, I just wish to acknowledge the Department of Communications edition 7 of the City of Delray Beach magazine, Village by the Sea, that's been circulated over the past several days. And of course, each of you all have been provided a copy. So just a kind acknowledgement for the good work in that regard. Finally, Fire Rescue Chief Ronald Martin and his team, they were industrious enough to provide each of you all with a copy of the City of Delray Beach Hurricane Preparedness Guide. And this is a aid for a productive visit to take place 1 week from today, Tuesday, April 29th. We have a workshop meeting for elected official involvement in emergency management and preparedness, and this is good information to help you to prepare accordingly. So thank you, Chief Martin, for taking that initiative, you and your team, and I will trust that the City Commission will find that background information helpful. Otherwise, I yield at this time. Thank you very much and have a great evening.
To the City Attorney. Okay. To the City Commission, let's start with Julie Casal.
Thank you. I was going to say thank you for this guide, and I look forward to reading it. And also, my phone has been buzzing. I texted one of my tennis team people and told them about the Davis Cup, and it hasn't stopped. Everybody is super excited. Once this spreads to the tennis center, it's going to be amazing. So I'm thrilled. But on to something I'm not exactly thrilled about. So the reason why people came in from subculture is because I've been making inquiries. I found out through the code hearing, the gentleman, Mr. Mayo, appeared at a code hearing last week, at which time he said he has conditional zoning use, CZU, and he received it on February 25th, which came as a remarkable surprise to me because we've probably discussed this item about 7 times up here, and one of the things that we asked was to be, A, kept informed, and also, Mayor, and you said it during the January 7th meeting, and I said it as well, the City Commission has a right to know what's going on and to be part of this determination. Yet, we weren't. So on January 7th, during the commission comments, when I brought up the issue of subculture, our city attorney said subculture would need commission approval. That was stated on January 7th. And I believe Ordinance 24-18 suggests the same, that we were supposed to approve that. And according to the city attorney on January 7th, and I went back and watched, the applicant needed conditional use, not CZU. And the city attorney stated the CZU was not consistent in light of the in-lieu parking that the applicant had received. The city attorney went on to say, regardless of the events being inside or outside, which was one of the factors that determined if it was going to be a CZU or a conditional use, the fact that the complaints were so prevalent and so often, the commission had a duty to review this. Yet we didn't get that opportunity. The CZU was given to subculture on February 25th. And it's worth noting that right now today, the applicant is in violation. So January 7th, our meeting, the city attorney suggests conditional use over CZU because conditional use would go in front of us and could be revoked by us if the applicant wasn't in compliant. And based on his history as a persistent offender, it would make sense that we would give him something that we could revoke if you weren't keeping in compliance. So I thought that was a great idea. Yet it didn't happen. The CZU was given to him on February 25th. No one notified any of us, even though we've been up here talking about this at various meetings and many, many times, no one notified us. So the applicant, as he sits today with his CZU, is in violation. Now, Ms. Pryor and I had a conversation because during the meeting, it was noted that there are 3 outstanding violations. Now, apparently they haven't been served on the gentleman, and that's another question. Why are 3 outstanding violations? One which relates to a fire plan, which sounds like a safety issue, not being imposed on the gentleman. But one of the things that concerned me was on January 7th, our city attorney gives us direction, legal advice. January 9th, Mr. Long writes to the city manager and the city attorney and Mr. Mayo from Subculture, and the email reads, in part, and I say in part because I'm pulling out selective quotes, I see no reason why we need to go down the path of a conditional use, outdoor use. And as a city, we should be protecting our local businesses from this type of abuse. Now, our city attorney gave us her opinion, and it wasn't taken. And instead, the gentleman got the CZU. And I think
It's ZCU, by the way.
well, that's what he's saying in his letter. So I'm using that terminology. But the problem we have here is that we now have somebody who is violated over and over again, and not on one issue, painting the building and a whole host of other things. And he was just given approval to continue doing what he's doing, and we have no oversight. And we have a fire plan that is a problem, and we have 3 violations that have not been imposed upon him. And notwithstanding the city's attorney's position, went around us. We didn't have any opportunity for input, and he was given approval. And for 7 or 12 months, we've been discussing this issue because he has been what I would call a persistent offender.
Okay.
You know, I have a problem with this, and I'm very upset. And why aren't the other violations being imposed on him? Because we are working to turn around our code department, and that's not what we're doing if we're letting violators get around the system, and if we're letting violators continue to violate. And that's what this looks like, and that's why we have people saying friends get benefits in the city.
Okay, yep. Mr. Long?
Thank you.
I mean, it would take me a long time to go through all the inaccuracies of the statements that were just made. So I'll save some time and ask the city manager, are you aware of any outstanding violations that Subculture has at the moment? Are there any current code violations?
They have not been imposed on him. They're sitting on Jerry's desk waiting to be imposed on him, which in itself
I'd like to
leads
hear
you
from the
to a
city
question.
manager, not from you.
I have not been made aware of the specifics, no.
You have not been made aware of any specifics, Mr. Moore? Yeah, that's your honest answer?
Could he finish his answer? Jesus.
I'm always an honest person, first of all. I have no reason to be dishonest. In terms of the specifics, I rely on the staff and the department directors to facilitate whatever needs to be done. And in response to this, I'm prepared to ask everybody involved to come back at the next meeting to offer some clarity relative to conditional use versus ZCU and those particular details. I do not have the specifics in front of me. I know that Ms. Pryor had a discussion with you earlier today as to what that looks like, and there was commentary shared with me today about something pending. What that is specifically, I do not have in front of me. That's never been provided. And quite frankly, I did not get involved with it specifically. There was an earlier experience back in January 2025. Ms. Doris, if I can get your assistance in this regard, please, because it's important to offer clarity. There was a complaint regarding a noise event, large-scale event, whatever the case may have been, that was not unfortunately witnessed, and so it was somewhat questionable as to whether or not our ability exists to fine, etc. So if you can talk a little bit about that, please. That is a discussion we had going back a couple months, in terms of ascertaining our capacity in that regard. So if you would, please.
Yeah, I can tell you that happened at the time that we were going through transition with the department, and because we didn't witness it, I did not ask any. At that time, I was overseeing code. I did not ask them to write that violation because we did not witness it.
Describe the alleged violation for good measure,
That
please.
they had a concert there.
Did you
Now,
get videos? Because I got videos in an email, and Mr. Moore got videos in an email, and the city attorney got email videos of an unauthorized concert on the premises, and it was advertised, it was happening on the premises. So you're saying that was not proof enough for you?
I'm saying we did not witness it. It doesn't mean that we're done and have let it go yet.
You've
There's
been
still
letting
some
everything
things-
go for a year.
The department's been going through a lot of change. One of the reasons
Oh my
why
goodness.
some of these things are on Jerry's desk is because Jerry has been dealing with a significant amount of personnel issues as well as
So it's
other
Jerry's
items
fault?
that-
That's what you're saying?
I'm not saying at all. I'm just saying there's only so much time in a day, and that we've had discussions
Wow.
about are there outstanding things. She has some questions related to the ZCU that she hasn't had a chance to ask yet. We will be taking care of those
I hope her
things when
question
she's
isn't
back
someone
from
in the city doesn't want me to impose those on him.
It's not that at all.
Point made.
Thank
I
you.
do think that the commission deserves, and I'm going to interrupt you just for your statements, but I happened to be at the hearing when this place, when it was first approved, and testimony was there were going to be people going in and out. It was a pickup place and going in and out. There was also discussion that there was going to be some kind of off-site parking agreement
Correct.
to ensure that there was parking. That hasn't been presented, and there was certainly never going to be the concept of having indoor events.
Right.
So, I think we need an explanation. If they're entitled to it, that's fine. But I think the commission deserves an explanation as to why suddenly there was all these conditions when it was first approved, and now they've become like irrelevant. So I really.
I would like an explanation as to why the city attorney's recommendation during a commission meeting was completely overlooked.
We're going to get
Is that
to that.
true? Is that a thing that happened?
That is 100%
I
true.
don't feel like that's true. Has this business been going through this ZCU process correctly? They've been cooperating through this process to try and attain the use that they want, a conditional use, to have indoor events. And they got fined for having the outdoor event. That already happened. And in terms of the complaints, all of these complaints, how many complainants are there? I'm willing to guess it's one person
there are 3.
complaining over and over and over. I'm not going to say his name. We all know who it is.
I know, but
It doesn't matter if the
it
complaints are valid.
absolutely matters
No,
because
it
you just
doesn't.
sat up here and disparaged one of our local businesses
I didn't
over and
disparage
over and
our
over
business.
again.
These
Yes,
are
you
facts.
did. You spoke in
I
very
read
rhetorical
from-
language
it's
about
not
one of our
rhetorical.
businesses. Yes,
It's
it
not
is.
rhetorical,
Ladies
it's
and gentlemen.
facts.
Absolutely is.
I'm
And
taking control-
the
I'm taking
reality
control.
is,
Oh, really?
the reality is that
Relax.
we have someone who is exhibiting extremely bullying, and I've seen videos too of this gentleman outside stalking the customers.
Mine has not. My issue has nothing to do with.
They're going through the
different
process,
people.
an
I understand.
administrative process.
I'm
That's
just
what the
trying-
ZCU is.
Mr.
It's an
Mayor.
administrative process.
Ladies and gentlemen.
They're going through that
I'm just trying to
process
see why
currently.
the original approvals, which were granted, have somehow been modified without coming to the commission first to modify.
Right.
Ladies and
That's where I
gentlemen.
am.
Mr. Moore, excuse me, I'd like the city attorney to speak on this because she's the one who recommended that this should come back in front of us, and it didn't. And I want to know why, when our city attorney recommends that an item come back in front of us for approval, because the person is a persistent violator, and we should do a conditional use to be able to pull it back if he doesn't get in line. And that's not
Saying
unreasonable.
persistent violator isn't fair.
How
We don't
many
even know if they
violations?
have. We don't even know if they have any
He
current
painted
violations.
the building without approval.
As I said,
You
I
asked
don't
to
know whether
remove
they're-
a fine for, so,
Okay.
I mean, there are fines.
I mean, what's the status of this, Lynn?
The code violations, we had a meeting internally. It was Ms. Pryor, Ms. Gianotis, and myself. And there were 3 violations that we believe were sufficient. They related to parking, they related to the life safety plan. I did convey to Mr. Orris and Mr. Moore that I felt that he's approved as a restaurant. And while I understand that there's some accessory activities related to a restaurant, especially a coffee shop, I think of like Friends and, the open mic night. What we saw on Instagram, that one back in January, that's not consistent with a coffee shop. That was a concert. I don't know if it was ticketed. I don't know what the specifics were. But in my opinion, that concert was not consistent with a grab-and-go coffee shop. And I felt that if that was going to be a regular occurrence at the location, that they should come before the commission so that you had the ability to mitigate the impacts of that event as it related to the human traffic, the vehicle traffic, and all those other accessory things. And so that was my opinion.
My question is specific. Did you convey that to the commission and say that this should
January
be
7th.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, then I think that it was something that needed to come to the commission.
So what I'd like to do, ladies and gentlemen, if I
Go
may.
ahead and do it. And as I said, they may qualify. I may say, great, good idea. But I think it's still the commission's determination to do that.
Very well. What I'd like to do is to offer an item to this effect at the next regular meeting, 2 weeks from today, May 6th. I have to work with all the respective departments so that we can address every specific question and outcome, including the path forward for whatever related code violations that would be. So we would address all of it, and the city commission will likewise be updated, as well as address the piece regarding conditional use applicability and those details.
Look, they may be able to address their parking issue with an off-site parking agreement. I think they probably can.
Don't they already have that?
It's never been sent to the city.
Got it.
Right.
This will
So-
this will be early in the meeting, May 6th, Section 5. So I will work with everybody involved. We've had a dialogue with Ms. Pryor earlier today along those lines, and I think we'll be prepared accordingly.
And if it's noted, there are 3 violations outstanding.
I have to
Those
work
should
with,
be imposed on him.
and of course, I will have
Just-
to work with the respective department directors and everybody else involved to get to that place. I'm coming back May 6th, ladies and gentlemen, and we will address it all.
Just
So thank you.
one clarifying question is, have they been approved for the ZCU, or is that still pending?
For a restaurant.
For a restaurant.
And so we're gonna then discuss,
Well, that's what I want to
What?
clarify.
That's what I don't
That's what I
understand.
want to clarify. If they're not holding these concerts anymore, then they don't need to come before you. My
Right.
understanding is they haven't had any since
they had the
January.
one that
There
they
were
got.
2. There was one that they got
There was
violated for, and then
the
there was
Art
another one
Bazaar, and
subsequently.
then there was the concert
Correct,
inside.
Correct.
Yeah, well, they
Correct.
got
So if
fined for
they're-
the
if
one,
they're
and
not-
they,
right, if they're
And we
not
couldn't
interested in
prove the
moving
other
forward,
one. So if they're not gonna do that, what are we discussing?
I think at the very least, we need to be very clear with what activities are or are not going to be permitted on that site. And I think they
So-
do need to demonstrate that they can park it, just like we'd make anybody else. And I feel they're probably going to be able to use that miniature golf. I mean, they said that's where they're parking people, so.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to have all questions outstanding answered and addressed, thus May 6th. We'll be prepared.
Can I just add one thing in? Rob, I want to disagree with you a little bit, because I've had a lot of complaints beyond the person you're flagging. A lot. And the complaints have ranged all over the board from there is no parking, people are parking illegally in the street, people are parking across the street in a privately owned business. It's going on all the time because there is nowhere to park. I went there myself a couple weeks ago. I ended up parking at Walgreens. And that's me. There's been all kinds of allegations about not having their dumpster covered. There have been allegations about not having handicap parking. I mean, this sounds like a business that we need to talk to them, and we need them to get in line a little bit, because they're really pushing the edges here, and they are going to get fined. I mean, that's where this is going to go, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to punish them, but I think they have an obligation to be in compliance with us.
They do have really.
Well, we have fined them $2,500. In terms of the parking, they are approved for the amount of parking that they have, and they do have signs up, and they do rent a lot. And so beyond that, if people park in other places, it's what are they supposed to do about that? Except that's a code enforcement issue at that point.
And
You
usually-
can't control what people are
usually
going to.
accompanying
And
an
there's
expanded use brings on new parking.
and that's fine. If we want to have that
That's-
conversation,
that's
I'm
what I'm
fine
saying.
with
That's
that.
what I'm
If
saying.
if we're talking about a conditional use and we want to talk about some sort of formal arrangement with the city, they're already renting out a lot, so let's just formalize that part of it. I have no issue with that.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, we've exhausted that. You're going to do what you're doing on May.
Yes, sir. Next regular meeting.
We're
I
gonna
look forward
wait.
to it, and we'll clarify all of it.
Wait, with great anticipation as to what's being written. Anyway,
Thank you.
Rob, did you have anything else?
No.
Commissioner Marker?
I'm good.
Oh, you mean on this issue or comments?
Comments.
Oh,
You're
comments.
still
I'm
in your
sorry.
comments
I thought
section.
I thought Julie was okay.
Oh, no. Your comments.
I do have an issue. I actually have an issue, a very concerning one that I feel that I have to address here. The city's code of conduct mandates that we up here, public servants, not engage in actions that, quote, undermine the confidence of the public in the integrity of the city government, end quote, or, quote, misrepresent the nature of official city business, unquote. I believe there has been recent conduct that represents a flagrant violation of both of these matters. In a coordinated media blitz, Commissioner Cassell mischaracterized a routine audit of our police overtime practices as an external, quote-unquote, investigation, falsely implying wrongdoing by our officers and sowing distrust in a critical public institution. Commissioner Cassell told CBS 12, quote, "The public was led to believe that we were investigating this. It was said in a meeting and nothing was done," end quote. The statement is false. Not only was the audit process transparent and appropriately initiated at the administrative level, as confirmed by the March 25th letter from the Inspector General's office, but the audit itself is not an investigation of misconduct. It is a standard procedural review. Commissioner Cassell's own inflammatory rhetoric stating that some officers' overtime claims were, quote-unquote, physically impossible was never substantiated and directly impugns the integrity of our sworn officers without evidence. Commissioner Cassell further escalated her claims in the Sun Sentinel, saying, "I don't know how to say this delicately," end quote, before alleging that police overtime was so, quote-unquote, extremely excessive, it defied plausibility. This language, repeated in the press with no clarification or context, irresponsibly paints our police force as deceitful and deliberately conflates fiscal oversight with accusations of fraud. Commissioner Cassell's comments were delivered absent of any formal findings or due process, and before the audit even began. This is not whistleblowing, this is reputational sabotage of our city.
That is not accurate.
The
And
city
Mayor, you should
manager's
stop that.
April 18th information letter makes clear the city is already implementing operational reforms across departments, including weekend staffing, realignments, and code enforcement to reduce overtime without resorting to baseless public attacks. Commissioner Cassell's misleading portrayal violates the spirit and letter of Delray Beach's governance principles. It erodes morale within our police department, stirs unnecessary public suspicion, and politicizes a standard fiscal audit. This conduct is especially damaging at a time when negotiations with the police union are already strained. These actions put our officers at risk and compromise the city's ability to manage labor relations in good faith. The people of Delray Beach deserve better. Elected officials have a duty to communicate truthfully, avoid inflammatory distortion, and build, not erode, trust in our institutions. Commissioner Cassell's breach of that duty is clear, and it demands accountability.
First of all, I made that statement in 2022 at a commission meeting, and I'm entitled to do
Which
that.
statement? I mentioned several.
The statements, all of the ones you're referring to.
All of them you said at
First of all,
2020 meetings, not the ones in the press?
Second, Mr. Moore told us that 5 to 8 other cities were being audited for the same thing, and we recently received confirmation from the auditing office that that is not the case. Number 2, okay? And number 3, if we are going to refer to the code of conduct, why don't we talk about your behavior in the meeting yesterday when you were swearing at people?
I wasn't swearing at anyone.
Completely inappropriate.
My PG-13 language was not directed at anyone.
Your PG-13 language was X yesterday in a
No, it
meeting
wasn't.
behind. Everyone was here and heard you swearing.
Okay.
Inappropriate.
I've heard swearing
so-
from many members of this dais.
Oh, really?
And it wasn't
In a
at
commission meeting?
anyone. That's a ridiculous claim.
That was
And
absolutely at people.
that's an
You're
absurd
wrong.
claim,
It's
but-
not. Mr. Margaret was there.
Well, I didn't, well, first,
There
I'm
was
not going
an
to comment on
inappropriate.
Did I swear at anyone?
Yes, you did.
I think you were yelling at
I
the
was-
process.
I was venting about the process, exactly. Thank you. So,
Yeah.
no.
So maybe monitor your
I want
own
to ask.
behavior.
I want to ask our city manager a question.
Yeah. Ask
When
the
you
city
spoke with
manager.
John Kerry, our Inspector General, about this process,
Right.
in terms of whether it was an audit or an investigation, could you clarify what he told you?
He refers to it as either an audit or an overview.
Right. And you made that very clear to us in communications that you had sent to us throughout this process, that this was not an investigation, that it was an audit. It was not an investigation of wrongdoing. That was made very clear to us throughout this process. Yet you
He
went to
also
the
made
press.
clear to us that
you went to the press and made it
press
sound
reached
like it
out
was
to
an
me.
investigation.
Actually,
Enough accusations.
excuse me one moment.
I mean,
Hold on.
your
The
quotes in the press.
No,
Rather-
the press reached out to me.
Okay, so you still gave them
and
quotes
asked me. They also
that were
called the
lies.
mayor. Those are not lies. That's
They're
my
lies.
opinion, and I'm entitled to my opinion.
Everyone, look,
and by the
You're
way,
not entitled to your own facts.
I am entitled to my own opinion, and there are no other agencies
I'm taking
being
control of this meeting.
reviewed for
Thank you.
police overtime.
Enough.
That statement
You
given
made
to
the
us
statement.
was
You had your
inaccurate.
reply. You made your statement. Are you finished with your comments?
I'm done.
Mr. Marker.
Code of conduct, that's hysterical.
I dread to ask. Ms. Burns. I mean, I had a long list that I'm not going to go through tonight.
Why don't you start with Robert's rules?
I would just like to stay out of the paper. The city is embarrassing to always be in the headlines, so let's stay out of the headlines, please. And here we were again on Piper's Post. So I received this letter from Mr. Michael Howard, who is concerned about our golf course. Apparently, some
one too.
Yes,
YouTuber wanted to break a record on our.
Oh no, Bryce, I was there when Bryce
on our
DeChambeau
golf
went to
course.
play. Yeah.
And so, it's still the embarrassment of the condition. So I just wanted to know, when will we receive an update on, proceedings for our golf course? You don't have to answer now, but we want to just get it up so that our public will know.
Actually, may I, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, please.
I would like to go ahead and answer now because I offered that commentary earlier in the meeting today. The fact that we'll have our second public engagement regarding the Delray Beach Municipal Golf Course Renovation Program, that's this coming Thursday, April 24th,
Okay.
6 o'clock p.m. over at the Delray Beach Municipal Golf Course.
I'll make sure
Myself,
to let Mr.
along with leadership from Parks and Recreation, Public Works, Utilities, and Finance, because again, we are finalizing financing and program implementation recommendations that will be brought forward.
Okay.
So
I
I would
appreciate
encourage that individual and others interested to join us at 6 o'clock this coming Thursday at the Municipal Golf
I'll
Course.
try to get an email to him to let him know. Thank you. And so, last but not least, on Sunday morning, I attended I think someone mentioned it earlier, the sunrise service that was sponsored by the Delray Beach Interfaith Coalition. Was very nice and headed up by Pastor Smith from Quezon Methodist. Very nice event, very well attended, and very glad it came. One of the comments that Pastor Smith said was that Delray Beach is a city where everyone is valued, and we're gonna hang on that. Okay, everybody is valued. So thank you. That's all my comments for tonight.
Great. I have a few comments. And I'm not going to delay us tonight, but at some, next meeting, Missy, I'd like to get an update on the crest, because I know we had a bunch of bids. I know we're looking at. I don't know if we're still in a zone of silence. We are. Okay, so never mind. I'll talk to you later.
Cone of silence.
Whatever.
Yeah.
The cone of silence. Well, that was Maxwell Smart. Okay, that's fine. I remember. And I'm also going to ask Anthea for an update on the conservation district at the next meeting as well. So I just want to, so if we can just let everybody know, because I'm getting questions. They're wanting to know what it was. You've asked for the golf course questions. That was going to be my third here. I've already made my remarks about indoor events. By the way, DeChambeau I was there when he was there, he was very polite. He didn't say what the other guy was saying. Let me just say, he was very polite, and he was disappointed that he didn't break the course record, because he's going around the country playing at all these municipal courses to try to break the course record, and he didn't do it. So that he did say it's a very challenging course, but I don't know what he kind of meant by that, but it could have been a lot of different things. It could have been a lot of different things. And I'm going to encourage everybody who has newsletters or quasi-newsletters to put in the next publication the link so that they can vote for Delray Beach Best Beach.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I think we want to get it out there. I think it'd be a great thing for us to do, and just let's try to get it done.
You know the deadline for that?
It's in May. It's May 10th or 15th or something like that. Okay, if you could pass this down. I'm passing down to everybody, and I've got one for each of you. I was very taken aback last week where essentially my integrity or decision-making was impugned on whether or not I should or should not vote on a particular item that was on the agenda. And I was particularly disturbed that it was when the item was brought up that emails went out saying that I shouldn't do it and this, that, and the other things, when it was clearly in people's possession beforehand, and if they were concerned about me, I really would wish you would say it before the
Wait,
meeting.
whose possession beforehand are you referring to? If you're I'm the one who brought that up.
Yeah, I'm bringing it up.
I didn't have
mention your
anything in person beforehand.
Excuse me, you emailed to the city attorney, the two, the annual
During the
report,
meeting.
The annual report.
No,
during
I
the
did
meeting.
it during the meeting.
Yeah, during the meeting.
After you threw your pen and yelled at me and said
Well, yeah, that means
you didn't have to
had it-
recuse yourself.
You should have mentioned it before the meeting. But anyway, my point was,
I looked it up during the meeting because you told me you were involved with that individual.
As I said, and quoted, in front of you is, I asked for, and the city attorney graciously went through all of the emails related to that project, total of 3,700 pages, plus or minus. My name was not mentioned once. As I mentioned, the statute says that it's a contractual relationship, it's not an agency relationship, which seemed to got disregarded. And I'm welcome to anybody else want to practice law up here. It's because the two lawyers said what the statute says. But you'll see that you'll see. I know no. One day I'll go to an accredited law school. That'll be good. But anyway,
it's about how we look at the end of the day, and I care about that.
I'm making my comments because I was not very happy with being
So
sabotaged.
are you saying that it's
I was
okay if
perfectly
you were
entitled to
an
vote,
agent of
and
service?
And the
Lynn?
Committee on Ethics
There's
said,
no conflict?
Would you please?
Sure.
Read the
So,
Thank you.
So in the context of a registered agent relationship, that is a contractual relationship. It's a business relationship with an entity, right?
Right.
And so what the ethics law says is that so long as that contractual business relationship isn't pending at the time that the item is either brought to the city or brought before the city commission, then there's no conflict. So as long as it's terminated, then.
But it wasn't terminated. Your
Sure
name
it
was
You
on
showed
it.
You showed her what had been changed in March. You're the one who said it. Well, you just did it.
Well, you just did it before the meeting.
No, I did
like
it. It
2
was-
weeks.
No, it was in February.
I don't.
Please
I can't
don't
back
argue
her.
with me. Don't further insult me.
Okay.
Don't further
but if
impugn
you're
my
taking,
integrity.
You first
Don't
of all,
further-
Mayor, you're the
We're
one
done.
who recused yourself in the beginning from it and said he
No,
was your
I
client.
recused myself from two other things, which was the time
You
to bring it
told
up.
me the guy is your client. So
oh my God, I
mean,
said that during the campaign that I had done work. I mean, come on, please.
your name was on that file.
Any other things? We're adjourned.